Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Caroline Fenton, how are you today?
Hello, doing great. How are you?
You know what we need?
What do we need?
We need a sponsor for you.
I would
Caroline
love one.
Fenton is brought to you by...
Just me, myself, is brought to you, all of the good people out there, by someone?
Caroline Fenton, brought to you by the Elizabeth Foundation. Everybody named after
My whole
Elizabeth.
family is brought to you by the Elizabeth Foundation, actually.
I would ask Ian how he's doing, but I'm mad at Ian.
You were just mad at me like 5 seconds ago.
I know,
you were palling around with Ian.
And now I'm mad at Ian.
You are like a roller coaster of emotions.
I know. I'm mad at Ian because we started today off talking to Ian, and I was like, Ian, I was talking good about you earlier today. You know, just in general. I was talking to the people about Ian, and I was like, Ian's just the best. Ian's this, Ian's that. And then right before we go on, Ian says the call screener's not working.
Oh, well, sorry.
I mean,
I'm Jared's favorite.
It just hurts my heart.
I wish I had control over the computers.
I do. I wish you had control, too.
You should, Ian.
The other thing is I'm going to say this. There was no doubt between the two of us who was Floyd's favorite. So, you know, if you guys want to just – and I was in dead last place. There is no doubt about that. Oh, my goodness. All right. So there's a lot to get into today, and we're going to do it. Because we got some Titan stuff to get to after the game Sunday and what they said after that. We got college football. Trevor Maddich will be later today. I thought Monday night game last night wasn't a good game in terms of like how it was played. But man, was it a fun game.
It was a fun game.
It was a fun game. And I want to get to that and the Colts and their problems and everybody sucking up to Lamar Jackson, which I want to get to too. But John Gruden takes the cake. And I literally tweeted this out. I am a subscriber to the New York Times. So they got the emails that John Gruden had been sending to Bruce Allen, the general manager at the time, and then later president of the Washington football team. So I'm just going to outline all this for everybody because I feel like there's a lot of different feelings. So this is what I'm going to say. Bruce Allen is at the heart of the Washington football team investigation. It's the investigation that there was a bad workplace and a bad work environment for women and people of color and minorities and everything else, and that it was bad. And Daniel Snyder, in the aftermath of all this, has basically had to give up day-to-day operations of the Washington football team, had to change the name, which he said he would never do, change the name to the Washington football team. Bruce Allen got fired. And now all of a sudden they have an African-American president. They have a female director of broadcasting. I mean, every hire the Washington football team makes is literally a minority or woman or person of color or because they are trying to make amends for all the damage that they did. It's a bad investigation. And in the emails, John Gruden, his former general manager in Tampa Bay, John Gruden at ESPN was saying homophobic things, racist things, very bigoted things, and all of which led to this giant mountain of stuff. And we read the email on the air that came out Friday. Your typical Friday news dump, Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, came the email about DeMaurice Smith, the Players Association's president, and the racist nickname that he gave DeMaurice Smith based upon his lips, which was racist and bad. But Gruden survived it, Gruden coached on, and then yesterday the mountain of stuff came out. And I tweeted out at 7:58, I just read the New York Times story. It's going to be the biggest story all week. At 8:02, Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, reported that Gruden was resigning. So John Gruden's out. And I'm just going to say it like this, because everybody has a lot of different feelings towards what has happened with John Gruden, and you'll hear people say cancel culture, or as I'd like to say, cancel culture. They'll say cancel culture, and everybody says things, and it's emails and private conversation. I hear you. And then there's all these other people that are going to say, everybody in the league does this. If you don't think there are coaches and owners deleting emails today, and I'm going to say this. John Gruden got caught. And it might have been 10 years ago. It might have been 15 years ago. I don't know. I only saw what was reported that was in the email. The NFL wanted John Gruden out. At the end of the day, they wanted Gruden out. Now, I think this is because of the things that he said about the commissioner, but the direction of the game for a league that has end racism in the back of the end zone. They don't want John Gruden coaching. So what did they do? They leaked the emails. The Raiders were in a situation where they couldn't just fire John Gruden. The NFL could not review these emails and say to the Raiders, you got to fire John Gruden. Because Mark Davis is looking at it like, I've got $100 million invested in this because I needed the people of Las Vegas to be excited about the Raiders. So now all these season ticket holders and all these new fans, if I just come out and fire John Gruden, they're going to lose their minds because they've invested in the Raiders in large part because of Gruden. So they had to leak the emails. So they did leak the emails. And they leaked the emails to the sophisticated places people would believe. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. You want to leak something? You leak it to them. You want to leak something and people don't believe it? Leak it to the National Enquirer. It's the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. So they have the emails. They release them. I read it, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how Gruden's going to be able to keep his job with this. But the reality with the John Gruden thing is whether or not it's a private conversation and whether or not people are fearful that this will happen to them. And I'm by no means perfect. So this idea that I'm going to sit up here and tell you all, hey, John Gruden was a bad man. John Gruden deserved to be fired. And I, Jared Stillman, have never said anything. That's not true. And I would never say that I've never said anything that didn't offend people. When I was in middle school and at the beginning of high school, I got in trouble all the time for things I shouldn't have said. I was in the principal's office. I was writing letters and doing extra assignments and apologizing. And I look back on that tenure of my life, and I think that if I hadn't gone through that as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, if I hadn't gone through that, maybe I would have made a mistake later in life when the stakes were higher. But you can't say stuff like that. But when I read it, I looked at it and I said, there is no way that John Gruden can coach the Raiders anymore. The one team in the NFL that has an actively open gay player. And he's using that word to describe the commissioner. If nothing else, I think you'll learn sometimes in life, people will say things about you or about your ethnicity or about your race or about your sexuality or about your gender. And you may not be 100% upset about it, but the other people that care about you sometimes get more upset than you do for you. And so when I read that, I thought that locker room's going to get behind Carl Nassib because they're not going to allow Gruden to coach this team. And then the things about kneeling and the racial stuff, and this is the NFL, which is a predominantly black league. There was no way John Gruden could coach this team. The emails were out. Just like when Donald Sterling owned the Los Angeles Clippers and a private conversation between him and his mistress got out that painted him as a just complete and total racist, you were never going to get a team to play for that guy ever again. Gruden was in the same situation. Now, I don't know what it means for Gruden for forever, if this means that he's never going to coach football again. I mean, maybe there's a college that will get desperate enough. Bobby Petrino has been hired by like 7 different people after his motorcycle escapade. But there's a big difference between Urban Meyer and Urban at the bar sticking his fingers on the girl's butt and John Gruden's emails. Now, to the people that will say, hey, these are private emails, private discussions, when you send an email to an NFL employee, the email address includes NFL in it. So when you email the Titans, if Caroline Fenton left today and went to go be the next Mike Keith says, I'm retiring, and the Titans hire Caroline Fenton to call the games, which would be interesting and something in and of itself. Caroline's email would be caroline.fenton@titans.nfl.com. When you send an email there, you are sending it to the NFL. Like when you send that email, it's going to the NFL. And so when the Washington football team has an investigation, all the emails get turned over. They said they have 650,000 emails. And as I said to Caroline before we started the show, they didn't read all 650,000. They went to the most important ones. Who are the most important people? Dan Snyder, the owner, Bruce Allen, the president and general manager, the head coaches. So now we've just cut that $650,000 to about $5,000. Well, now we see the name John Gruden pop up. Well, we're going to read that. Heaviest is the head that wears the crown. John Gruden's famous. John Gruden's in the league. And John Gruden said a lot of bad things about a lot of people. And a lot of bad things about a lot of people that are really influential in the league, like, I don't know, the commissioner. So here's what I think happened. I think the commissioner saw this as part of the Washington investigation, probably took it personally with all the things Gruden said, looked at the non-progressive way the game is going, and decided, we don't need that guy in the NFL anymore. So what do? You call the Raiders, you say you got to fire him. Raiders say we can't. You leak the first email. Now people are talking about it a little bit. Now there's a little unrest. But after the email Friday, where we talked on the show about what's going to happen, it looked like nothing was really going to happen after Gruden coached the game Sunday. Well, now you really want to get the guy out of there? Unleash all the ammo. And that's what the league did. And now Gruden's gone. My guess is there was a settlement. I bet he probably gets like half the money. I'm not reporting this. It's just common sense. Mark Davis said, look, you can't coach that team anymore. You can't walk into that locker room with a predominantly African-American roster with some of the things you've said, working in a league where you've talked bad about female officials who may be calling your game on a Sunday, ragging on the commissioner who is the most important and powerful person in the sport, and at the same time looking at your one gay player who had the courage to be openly gay as an NFL player. The team is going to rally behind him. The team is going to rally behind the African Americans on the team who were offended. You're not going to be able to coach there. And Gruden knew it. So he took it out. And there's a lot of people that are upset by it today. There's a lot of people that are really happy that, Gruden was a bigot and he had to go. I'm going to say this. When John Gruden says there's not a racial bone in his body or a racist bone in his body, I don't really believe that. But do I think John Gruden is a racist? Probably not. Do I think John Gruden hates black people? Probably not. But the idea of, hey, there is nothing about me that, that's a lie. And so from a practicality standpoint, he couldn't coach Raiders anymore. Now, from hey, everybody now needs to look at themselves in the mirror and think about the things you've said and the things that you've emailed and the things that you've texted and the things that I think that's a fair point. But I'm going to give you an example. Tom Brady's emails got leaked one time? That he had a bunch of emails when he sued the NFL over Deflategate, and all of Tom Brady's emails came out. Do you remember what the most controversial email that was released from the Tom Brady dump? There were two important emails that were released.
I don't think I do remember.
Because it wasn't very controversial. It wasn't a very big deal.
Right.
One was a friend emailed him about Peyton Manning after Brady beat Manning in a game and said, hey, he's done and you're the GOAT. And Brady said, I think he's got like a year left, but I've got way more time ahead of him. Brady apologized to Peyton. By the way, Brady was right.
He was right.
The second newsworthy item ended up in all like the gossip magazines, and it was an email between him and Bridget Moynihan, the Blue Bloods actress who is the mother of his child, about how his son got an award for reading. And Brady replied back, I'm just so proud of him. He's just such a hard worker. And it was Bridget and Tom celebrating the success of their son as a student. And it ended up in all these magazines, like these, parenting magazines and things like how to co-parent successfully. But those were the two newsworthy items. The third was that he calls Josh McDaniels babe. Those were the three things that came out from the Brady emails. You know why? Because Tom Brady's smart enough not to email stuff that can get him in trouble. Because he knows he's Tom Brady. Because he knows he's famous. I mean, I'm sure there are things that you say in life that you wish you had back. Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Bills, had old tweets that, boy, he wished he had back. And before the draft, he had to basically go on an apology tour for some of the things that he said as a high schooler. But at the end of the day, there was never going to be an opportunity for Gruden to coach that team. And on top of it, Gruden should have known better. And so I don't feel bad for Gruden today. I mean, I think it would suck if it were me and my career was over. And now if I walked out the door with $100 million to do it, then, But I see people getting worked up all around football about this, and I knew this would be a topic that would get people just bent out of shape one way or another. And I don't feel that way today. I think John Gruden should have been fired or resigned or relieved of his duties, and that's what happened. Because I don't think he could have coached that team anymore. I don't think John Gruden is the worst person in the world. I don't think that either. I think John Gruden said some things he shouldn't have said, probably believed some things that are not the direction that the league wants to go, and because of that, he got exposed. But the one thing that I told Caroline this before, but one of the things that I think about myself is, and I'm not perfect by any means as I address the John Gruden stuff. I'm not perfect. But the one thing that I will say when it comes to talking about people losing their jobs and should this coach be fired or should that player be released, and people will say, how do you worry about what you say and what you do? And at the end of the day, I know I'm a pretty genuinely good guy. And that's all I try to be. You don't try, if you know how you don't have an affair, how you don't get caught having an affair, don't have one. And that's kind of the way that I think that maybe people should approach their lives. And I think Gruden's kind of an example of this. And I thought to myself yesterday, what would Floyd say? And Ian, I'm going to tell you what I think Floyd would have said if he had heard about Gruden getting fired over these emails. I think he would have chuckled in his little Floyd chuckle, and he was like, dumbass. And that would have been that. Because Floyd deleted every email and deleted every text. And we know Floyd. He wouldn't say anything bad. But, I'm not sure he'd have a lot of sympathy for John Gruden today. And so, for me, I just look at this and think, you know what? You may feel a certain way about John Gruden. You may think that but at the end of the day, how you make others feel, that's the most important role as the coach. And you can't coach in this league if you're going to act like that. And I'll say this, you can't be on this show if you're going to act like that. And I guess that's my way of saying that what happened yesterday on the John Gruden thing, I think that's what should have happened. We'll get your reaction. 615-737-1025. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little hesitant about taking calls on this today, but we'll do it. 615-737-1025. We'll get Caroline's reaction. We'll get Ian's reaction. And I think this is kind of the note that, jokes that you think are funny, they really can not only hurt other people, probably a lot of it, but they can also hurt yourself too. And, when you say things and you think it's funny and you think no one's going to see and then they do see, well, then you have to live with the consequences. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company. We are delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Tune in all day Thursday as we get you set for the Nashville Predators season opener against the Seattle Kraken. We'll be giving away tickets to the opener every single hour throughout the day and unveil a special programming announcement at 8:30 during Robbie and Rex Road. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Creating the finest award-winning tequila means starting with the best ingredients. Camarena Tequila is 250 years in the making from Arandas, Jalisco, Mexico. You see, at Camarena, they wait for their 100% blue Weber agave to reach maturity before harvesting each and every plant by hand. This allows them to consistently produce one of the smoothest and best-tasting tequilas in the world. Experience Camarena Tequila today, available at a fine liquor store near you. Camarena Tequila is the official tequila for the Nashville Soccer Club.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology, but we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at MeadeTractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Listen to the MLB postseason on ESPN 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9. Brought to you by 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza Company is your authentic Chicago-style pizzeria. Head to theGameNashville.com for up-to-date game times.
Exam 4 needs to be sanitized.
Mersana's MRI clinic isn't operating at max efficiency. She needs a new certified tech certifiably now.
Someone's waiting in room 2 for an ACL scan. Can you handle that?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in Saturday as Nashville SC takes on DC United. Pregame at 6:15. The match begins at 6:30. We are beginning the show on the John Gruden leaked emails. And again, there are a lot of people out there that think that, I was talking to people today that were saying, this was a private conversation and how dare, and I'm like, look, man, it's not private anymore. The key about private life, and look, nobody's perfect, okay?
Yeah.
The key to private is to make sure that your private life is, especially when you're famous, is to make sure that you handle yourself accordingly as a person, that things that are in private that become public, that you can live with the consequences. And I think, look, people send emails around all the time, ha, 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 whatever. But, one of the bigger issues about racism that I believe is that there are a lot of people out there that don't think they're racist that are racist. That's the issue with racism, is it's not like there are people that think that we should go back, not like there's a mainstream of people that think that we should go back to living a way that we lived 60, 70 years ago or anything like that. But just the way they feel is, I just feel this way, and I'm like, that is racist. You think it's not racist, but it is racist. And I think that, this probably brings some of that to light, and especially in a league that is predominantly African-American on a team in which has the only gay active NFL player. And it's totally against the values of the league, which the league has made clear in the last year and a half. This is the direction we're going. Before the league wanted to stay out of everything. Now the league has said, hey, we think that social justice is important. We think that race relations are important. we think it's important to celebrate a gay NFL player. All the things I actually agree with, but that's the route they're going. What was your reaction to the Gruden firing?
Well, first of all, initial reaction was just incredibly disappointed, and just kind of that thought of seriously. It was just a terrible reminder that we really haven't come maybe as far as we think we have. But to your point about keeping your private life private, when you work for an organization and you have that email, whatever is said on there, that is not private. When you are an employee of an organization, you give up some of your rights. That is just what working for a company is. And when you use that email, your company-issued email, or whatever it may be, whether it's a phone or whatever it may be, that's no longer private. And I've seen a lot of the reaction on social media saying, well, whatever happened to the First Amendment. The NFL doesn't operate like that.
So I'm going to say this about that.
Okay.
The same people that are saying that the NFL should tell those players to stand up during the national anthem or they should cut them from the team are the same people that are going to say, what about freedom of speech? And back then, I said, the NFL can tell players not to kneel during the national anthem. They can tell them that. It's a private business. Just like they can tell, the coaches, you got to get vaccinated or else you can't coach. Well, what about, you don't go to jail. You don't get killed like other countries that don't have freedom.
Right.
But in this country, freedom of speech only protects you for that. Doesn't mean that everybody has to like you or want you or not fire you or whatever. And so it's funny that, at some point, the same people that were claiming free speech however long ago with the kneeling, they're now saying, get him out of the league. And the other is true for these people that probably are texting into the text line saying, what about free speech? Freedom of speech does not have anything to do with the right to being a coach in the National Football League. And it doesn't have a right with anything. Think about it. People in my job, how they get fired oftentimes? By saying dumb things. Well, that's because it's not a right to host a radio show.
Right.
So that's my kind of response to that.
And the First Amendment protects John Gruden from not going to jail for saying those things.
Yes.
That is freedom of speech. He can say those things. It doesn't mean that you should say those things, but under the law, he can say those things. But under the law of the NFL, in which NFL head coach, there are only 32 NFL head coach positions. So you cannot say those things and you cannot behave in that way and hold a position of leadership, hold one of 32 jobs in the world and conduct yourself in that way and paint your football team in that manner and coach an openly gay football player, coach in a predominantly black league, and take those things aside. It doesn't matter who's on your team or what they look like or what background they come from. You do not treat people like that. You do not say things like that. John Gruden gave up his position as head coach, not last night, but a very long time ago, because you cannot say things like that and hold that position.
Mm-hmm. I also think too that one of the there's a lot of different elements to this about how people are going to feel, and I don't think I'm feeling the same way that everybody else feels about this. I mean, I think that Gruden had to go, but I think just from a fundamental standpoint I don't think those players were ever going to play for him again.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that, you can't coach in the league.
Once you lose the locker room, you lose everything.
From a morality standpoint about, well, he was making a joke and he was have we not learned that those kind of jokes are not okay? I feel like that's the standard, is that those jokes are not okay. I mean, there are certain things that people say in passing that just drive me up a wall. And those things are not okay. And I do think, there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, every coach and every general manager and every team president and every owner, ought to look through their emails right now and think about, and I'll say this, yeah. And if you were a coach who was doing stuff like this and saying stuff like this and you didn't get caught or you haven't gotten caught or whatever, well, then guess what? It's time to straighten up and fly right, because this is the direction the league's going in. And so I just feel in my heart like this is the route that the league is going, and I agree. I agree with the route that the league is going. And I think that, I honestly think Gruden knows too. Like, I think Gruden knows. And this is why whenever they came up with a settlement or whatever yesterday, Gruden released a statement. I didn't want to be a distraction. I love the Raiders. I love, whatever. Because he knows.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that, oh, my goodness, this got out. And I guess that's it for me. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your calls and your texts. There was one thing that bothered me when all this went down last night that I do want to touch on. We'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, Gruden out in Vegas, and the Raiders got to start all over again. They're going to have the special teams coach be the interim coach, but we'll get to that coming up here on Stillman & Company. TriStar Moving, they're my official movers. I moved a year ago. I moved with TriStar Moving. I freaking loved the experience. Like most people, I hated moving, but not anymore because of TriStar. They made the entire process so simple. That's why their motto is TriStar Movers with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They have home protection, which covers your floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, and even the doors themselves. They're always upping the game when it comes to mover training, so everything was taken care of. They have a brand new state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet as well. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they want to help this hometown of theirs. The company is on the real deal and on the rise quickly because of the standard they hold. Give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you, my official movers.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime.
Thursday night, Roman Yossi and the Predators begin their season on home ice against the Seattle Kraken. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series Nashville returns to the Music City, November 18th through 20th. You don't have to be a runner to enjoy the excitement of Nashville's premier downtown race. Come help your community as well as the thousands of runners by volunteering. With over 1,000 positions available, there's a spot for everyone. Head to NashvilleSports.com for more information and get a free t-shirt when you register to volunteer. We'll see you there.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear Conti-Tech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE, 615-895-HOSE.
It's all about getting them something that they're not going to be able to get anywhere else at the best prices with the best warranty.
Meet Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
At Genesis Diamond, we never ever lost a sale due to price, quality, selection, or customer service.
What's the Genesis secret? It starts with offering hand-picked GIA certified diamonds.
I'm very proud to say our GIA hand-selected diamonds are one of the largest diamond inventory anywhere in the country.
And then there are the rings. Thousands and thousands of handcrafted unique rings from all the top designers. So at Genesis, you don't have to settle for a knockoff or generic ring. You can get her the ring of her dreams and still stay in budget.
Because of our great buying power of the diamond and also great buying power for the designers, the package deal for the consumer is a win-win situation.
Genesis Diamonds.
I love what I do.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
My accent is always on value.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey Nashville, this is new Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Moments ago, the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden officially parted ways. Earlier this evening, the New York Times uncovered a trail of emails dating back 7 years in which John Gruden had a clean sweep of offending NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, women, gays, minorities, all sorts of people. A short time ago, the Raiders owner Mark Davis arrived at the team's training facility, found Gruden, the two men met, and John Gruden no longer is the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Steve.
There you go. That was Adam Schefter yesterday breaking the news that John Gruden was out. We'll get to your phones here in just a second, and I don't want to say a little nervous about taking calls today, but let's keep it civil. But I was really put off yesterday by ESPN's coverage during the game of the Gruden firing. Now, and look, it's awkward. We get it.
Yes.
Because all these emails were sent when Gruden was at ESPN doing Monday Night Football. But the fact that at halftime, Susie and Schefter and Booger all kind of talked about it from this third-person perspective, like they were just analyzing it, kind of like we're analyzing it, I didn't really like. It felt disingenuous to me. These people worked with John Gruden on a weekly basis when all of this was going on. And I would have liked to hear from them their own personal feelings about it at the time. I mean, Susie looked like she was shocked to the core with all this going down on TV. Mm-hmm. Booger played for John Gruden. And it was crazy because I'm watching this halftime show, and I'm thinking to myself, are these people ever going to bring up the fact that they know Gruden, that they're friends with Gruden, that Sean McDonough, who called the games with Gruden and happens to be gay, that he was almost in tears during the Titans-Chiefs playoff game, which was Gruden's last game, because Gruden was leaving? Like, that's kind of a part of the story. And we know that you all know Gruden, and they didn't talk about it like that. And it just felt disingenuous to me. Like, I'll say this. If, and there's a huge if here, and I don't even like bringing Floyd into this discussion, but if something like this came up about Floyd, which I would be floored by for a bajillion reasons, mm-hmm. One of which, the whole email thing, wasn't Floyd's go-to, using email. But I would be honest with you, the audience. I would be honest and be like, look, I had no idea. I mean, I spent every day with that man for 5 years, and I had no idea that it was this, that, or the other. And I just wish that maybe it was a little bit more authentic from ESPN last night. I understand the awkwardness. I just was a little off-put that we're all viewers. We're all football fans. We're all watching the game. We're all watching you. This is a mega story. You guys have just a great first-person experience with this man, and they didn't share it, and that bothered me yesterday.
I think that was ESPN's point. And I don't know. I don't know what went on in production meetings, what kind of producer was in their ear telling them what to say, what not to say. But I can only think that was ESPN's plan all along, because it could have been where, like you mentioned, Booker did play for John Gruden. Mm-hmm. Booker easily could have said, could have defended him. And I don't think ESPN wanted that, because there could have been a huge outcry of, how can you defend this man? How can you defend this man even after all of these things have been said that are discriminatory to so many people? I don't think that they wanted to put themselves in any situation for any backlash and wanted to make it as third party of a reaction as they could.
Well, I think they want to keep themselves out of this because he was employed by them when all this happened.
Yes.
They want to say, hey, they want us to forget that he was there when that happened. Mm-hmm. And you're probably right. But, I mean, if you're going to have Schefter on and Susie on and Booger on, I want to know what they think. I want to know. And I think you're probably right. Hey, let's just keep it basic analysis, mm-hmm. basic news, basic, but we all know better than that.
Yeah.
We all watch ESPN. We all watched when Gruden was on the games and they were doing countdown and they'd send it to Gruden.
And I don't think anyone would blame ESPN for
Sure.
Gruden sending these emails. I mean, I'm sure a lot of things go on behind closed doors in people's personal lives that may not align with the values of their employer. Nobody's blaming ESPN for that.
Nope.
But I do think that they wanted to stay totally out of it. No connections to Gruden whatsoever.
Let's go to your phone. 615-737-10. Go ahead, Evan.
Hey, guys. Appreciate you taking my call. I just want to, remind people that there are people that have a lot of strong feelings about, what's dubbed as cancel culture. But at the end of the day, this was a business decision by the Raiders, just like when the Mandalorian actress, lost her job from the show. That was a business decision by Disney. And the Raiders were looked at this situation and realized that they were probably going to face a non-zero probability of financial backlash from this, whether it's decreased ticket sales, sponsorship pulls, whatever. At the end of the day, NFL is a business. They are there to make money, and this was a detriment to their business model. So that's the final line, really.
I think I appreciate your call. I agree that it was in some way a business decision from the standpoint that at the point of the emails coming out Monday night, you never would have gotten a team to play for John Gruden.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the NFL is the one who leaked the emails. Like, you had this cockamamie crazy theory when you showed up today that I was like floored by.
It makes sense.
No, it does not.
When you look into the details of it, it doesn't. But
Ian,
on the surface, it makes sense.
Ian, were you with us when Caroline brought up her cockamamie theory for how these emails got out there?
No, I was not.
Okay, please share with the class.
I thought that someone in Urban's camp had something to do with it.
And I looked at her and I was like, what?
Because what were we talking about this time last week?
Urban.
What are we talking about now? Not Urban.
But
interesting how that works out, doesn't it?
But my point was Urban and Urban's friends and Urban's camp, they don't have access.
You don't know Urban's
to
friends.
Bruce Allen's emails.
You do not know who Urban Meyer is friends with.
The NFL just launched an investigation a year ago into Washington, and they have 650,000 emails, and they happen to be the ones that have the emails. And so it was either the Washington people or the NFL that leaked the emails, and to me, it was very clearly the NFL.
Well, I don't know who's paying who or who's friends with who. The timing feels fishy.
Ian, what do you think about Caroline's theory?
Full disclosure, I was on the phone.
Oh,
so
no.
I didn't hear a lot of it.
She thinks Urban Meyer's people leaked it. And it was like, what?
Oh, for distraction? To get the heat off of Urban?
Yes.
I can't get there.
There you go.
That's fine. I don't need your support.
There you go.
I don't think it actually happened, but it does make sense.
No, you thought it happened at like 1:30 today.
No, I didn't think that actually happened, but it did cross my mind. Did it not cross yours?
No, it did not cross my mind.
Maybe you should do a little bit more analytical thinking.
We operate under the duck theory around here.
A bunch of texters all texted in saying they agree with me.
Did they actually?
Yeah. One says, I agree with Caroline. Not a bad theory, honestly. Interesting.
I truly wish, I believe this is a very intelligent audience. Maybe the most intelligent
they are very
audience
intelligent
in the city. And that text you just read me disappoints me a little bit.
Oh, it is fishy, and there are no coincidences in this industry. That's very interesting. I would have to agree with the texter.
It has nothing to do with Urban Meyer.
You don't know that.
I
you do not know Urban Meyer. You know where his hands have been. You just don't. You don't know him.
You don't know Urban from a jar of it. Okay. I'm just saying. To me, duck theory. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. Chances are it's a duck.
And it's Urban. It looks like an Urban. It quacks like an Urban. It's an Urban.
The one thing I sent you yesterday from the New York Times story. In the emails, Gruden called the league's commissioner, Roger Goodell, a word that you can't say that is a slur towards gay people, and a clueless anti-football word you can't say that is a derogatory term, and said that Goodell should not have pressured Jeff Fisher, then the coach of the Rams, to draft blank, a derogatory term towards gay people. A reference to Michael Sam, a gay player chosen by the team in 2014. I saw that, and I'm like, Goodell said, get this guy out of here. Goodell saw the emails, and he said, get this guy out of here. That's what they did. So they released the first email because they didn't want to bomb the guy's life. So they released the DeMaurice Smith email on Friday. And, that's bad.
That's bad.
It was bad. We read it. It was
incredibly bad.
But it's not as bad as the other stuff. So I think they thought on Friday this email would get out, Gruden be fired on Saturday, and they'd have a new coach on Sunday. We'd have a week of football on with life. But then it didn't happen. And Goodell was probably sitting there saying, I want him out. So how do we get him out? Just drop the nuke and let's go. And they dropped the nuke last night, and they knew that they were going to have to deal with it, which is what they didn't want to do when they released the first email on Friday. But that's exactly what they did last night, and because the Urban story was over. And so then it was like, boom, and gone is Gruden.
There's a little bit of a crazier theory than mine. That was just texted.
Get to that next. 615-737-1025. Andrew, call 615-737-1025, which is our phone number here on Stillman and Company. Tune in during the 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. hours each weekday this week for your chance to qualify to win a pair of tickets to see Monday Night Football on October 18th in Nashville. Listen for the cue to call. Be caller 3 at 615-737-1025, and you will qualify to win 2 tickets. 2 winners will be announced on Friday at 5:30. And let me just state for the record again, listen for that cue to call. Don't call right now. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 again.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny skies for us this afternoon. Highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. Small storm chances return to the forecast on Wednesday. Rain totals will be minimal.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
Mortgage rates are on the move. Don't miss the chance to lock in the best rate of your lifetime with my friends at Loan Pronto. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call Loan Pronto today and take advantage of their super popular zero-cost refi program. So many people are doing this. You can get a rate with an APR in the low 2s with no junk fees, no closing costs. Yes, they pay your closing costs, even if you refinanced 6 months ago. Loan Pronto's all-digital process is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork required. And most loans get closed in 14 days. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now and start the process. Don't wait on rates to spike again. If your current APR is over 2.75, call now for a free 30-second quote. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost option.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you live and work. With over 10 locations in Nashville and surrounding communities, Houston physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, as well as many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they are strictly adhering to all CDC guidelines for both their patients and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and to see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Darren McFarland. He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him. Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Yeah, listen, who you are is eventually going to be exposed. I say it all the time. Like you are in a situation, especially with us sitting on this show with coaches, with players, like who you are will eventually come to light. And obviously when you think about John Gruden and the things that he said and he never meant to hurt anyone, yes, you did. That's damn well what you meant to do. because the emails say that. It's not nothing. It's not a figment of anybody's imagination. It's not trying to add anything to what John Gruden sent in those emails. It's who you are, boss. And you are that guy because you did it for that long. So it's not, it's about getting caught here, fellas. Like, let's be real about it. It's about John Gruden being exposed, and now he's sorry. And now he apologizes for the things that he had going on for a number of years. So, listen, we're going to have a conversation about where the league goes and all of these things that come along with when something like this happens in the NFL. This is about John Gruden. This is about his feelings, who he is, and the things that he said. I stand on it. Y'all know me. I'd say it all the time. Say what you mean and mean what you say. All them damn emails that John Gruden sent, all of them racial slurs, all of the misogynistic slurs, all of the homophobic slurs, that's who you are, boss. So everybody out there in the world needs to accept that John Gruden is this guy, and he's paying the price for being who he is.
There you go. That was Marcus Spears yesterday. And I have a hard time disagreeing with what Marcus said. I'll say this. I don't think John Gruden, and I don't know John Gruden, I don't think John Gruden is the worst person in the world.
No.
Do I think John Gruden is kind of a bigot? Yeah.
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 Did he say some incredibly hurtful, discriminatory things?
Yeah.
Yes, and repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I would like it to be known that I think that people can be forgiven. I think that people can learn. I think that people can grow and change their minds. And I think especially, too, if we find a tweet dug up from someone when they were 14 years old and their actions have not reflected that in the past, I can offer up some grace to people who prove that they have changed their mind and they have, and that they've changed, that they've learned, that they've grown. John Gruden was 48 years old 10 years ago in 2011. He knew better than that.
Yeah, but are you still going to not forgive him down the road?
I'm not going to not forgive him down the road, but I think you have to. Look at it differently through a different lens. That he was a grown man. Grown man. He knew exactly what he was saying.
Sure. I mean, I think that
I'm not going to not forgive him for the rest of his life.
I think there's a lot of things that I don't think that I'm perfect by any means.
No.
And sometimes we say things we don't mean, and sometimes
you say or do things you're not proud of.
But at the same time, I mean, it's hard for me when you said to me on Friday that there's not a racist bone in your body, and then all those other emails come out. It's hard for me to kind of believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to envision players playing for you. Let's go to your phones. 615-737-1025. As promised, Jason has been waiting patiently. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Jason.
Good guys. Thanks. First of all, a little lighthearted. I'm so glad hockey season starts today. We can look forward to that. On the Gruden front, I'll be straightforward in saying I have not read the emails. I've heard enough about them to know I don't necessarily want to. I think it's incredibly unfortunate because I think in his career he's done so much to elevate the lives of young black men and young men in general. That it sucks to find out, what was really behind the curtain. That said, for me, what I've really been struggling with the past few days is between the NFL and we as a society in general, but the NFL. I wish the national media would have the stones to point out the contradiction between, all right, this is what the NFL's okay with, and he said these things, so he's got to go. Meanwhile, somebody like Urban Meyer, and forget the whole thing with Nebraska, what's her name, before that, knowing that you're bringing somebody into the league that hid and lied about, knowing about domestic abuse, and brushed things under the rug that were terribly affecting young lives. So where's the line there? And then also, look, I grew up on Snoop, and I grew up on Dre, and I think anybody of a certain age realizes that when we were younger, a lot of things were said and listened to and done that don't necessarily reflect how we feel as adults, and things have changed, right?
Sure,
so
but I think it's at some point, I hear what you're saying. People are saying, okay, what makes this difference? What about the hypocrisy, of the league? And I appreciate your call. This idea that the league, is telling and they're saying this and they're saying that, and it should be noted Gruden resigned. Like, he resigned. Now, Do we think Gruden really resigned? Probably not.
Yeah, I think he was pushed to resignation.
But at the same time, like, Gruden knows that he couldn't coach those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he couldn't coach those guys. The domestic issues at Ohio State, yeah, those are red flags for me, for sure. But, like, even Ohio State finished their season and ended up in the Rose Bowl and things like that. Gruden literally could not coach that team. Like, Gruden could not walk in the locker room tomorrow and coach that team and those guys be willing to play for him. And I think that's something that we need to probably remember. Mm-hmm. It's not like the NFL kicked John Gruden out of the league.
No.
It's not like, Pete Rose betting on baseball, and so they kicked him out of the sport. It's not that way. They didn't kick John Gruden out of the league. Gruden resigned. Now, the idea about, the NFL and how they can, get mad about it. The truth is, I still think the NFL leaked the emails. And I still think the NFL leaked it, and I think that Goodell was a part of it. And I think they were like, this guy stands for everything that we don't believe in what we're trying to take the game. Let's get him out of here. And I think they tried to get him out quietly at first, and then after a while, they just decided to drop the bomb on him. Now, Conspiracy Theory Caroline over there, who's all of a sudden going to start tweeting with little shields underneath it that say, fact-checking, and let's be careful of what Caroline has to say.
Well, I'm not spreading misinformation. I'm just offering up my conspiracies.
Yes.
And labeling them as such.
And
they're theories. They are not true.
When the text line
the text line's
up,
with me.
You say, hey, the text line's with me. Let me ask you a question. When Ryan Tannehill was hesitant to get the vaccine, what did the text line say then?
It was a scary place.
Okay.
It was a very scary place.
Okay.
But it's more fun when they agree with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What else we got there on the text line, which, of course, is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com?
Chase texts in and says, can you imagine if Gruden would have gone to coach the Vols?
This probably doesn't get out.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, is this is in an NFL situation.
I do wonder if Gruden's career is over. Like, in 3 years, can he find himself in college football at Missouri State?
I mean, you just said he cannot coach the Raiders.
He can't coach the Raiders right now.
Right now, yes. I don't know. I don't want to say that it's over and, sorry, John, no more jobs for you. I don't think it's anytime soon. I don't think that he'll be an analyst. I don't think he'll be on TV. I think that
Bobby Petrino has gotten 3 jobs since the motorcycle at Arkansas.
But I would have a very tough time thinking that any athletic director, especially given the Black Lives Matter movement, especially given all the social justice movements that have happened the past couple of years, I think that anytime soon an athletic director would have a very tough time hiring John Gruden.
I think so. But I think so. But I'm not going to rule it out either.
Not ruling it out.
Not going to rule it out.
No.
615-737-1025. We'll come back to the Gruden topic because I do have other thoughts. I mean, first of all, I don't even think Gruden's that good of a coach. And the person who used to occupy your seat, let it be known that he didn't really think Gruden was that good of a coach either. And so, I mean, for all the hubbub surrounding Gruden, I don't even think he's that good of a coach.
Gruden. People love him.
I know, but I don't even think he's that good of a coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not, make a song about him and post it on YouTube to get him to come coach the Arkansas Razorbacks.
That's a great song.
It's a great song. Okay, Grood.
Come to Fayetteville and make us better. No, it's great. All right, 615-737-1025. I want to get to the game last night. I want to get to the game. Wow, that game was entertaining. Yes, the Colts lost. I got a lot of thoughts about it. We'll do that next. Invigorate Health. That's right, InvigorateHealthTN.com. If you are feeling old, perhaps it is a testosterone issue, you need to talk to my friends at Invigorate Health. Again, they're InvigorateHealthTN.com. Perhaps you need their IV treatment therapies, or you need the M-Sculpt Neo, which is the non-invasive machine where the electromagnetic lights go and take away that fat and that cellulite reduction and add muscle. And I'm telling you, whatever it is you need, their trained physicians will get it figured out for you. Trained nurses, trained physicians, they will take great care of you, and they will make you feel young again. So if you feel old and you're like, you know what, I just got to change it up a little bit, you need to talk to my friends at Invigorate Health. Tomorrow and Thursday, This is kind of a note for anyone going to the Preds game or anybody that needs a COVID test. Tomorrow and Thursday, Invigorate Health will have their mobile unit at the Farmhouse, 210 Almond Street, which is a few blocks away from Bridgestone Arena. They'll be offering discounted COVID tests. Since anyone going to the Predators game needs to show a negative COVID test or be vaccinated, you can get your COVID test right there. Everyone that gets tested will also get a $10 gift card to Farmhouse, and they will be on site. Invigorate Health will Wednesday from 4 to 7 and Thursday from 4 to 6:30. My Instagram story at the Jared Stillman has all the details up there as well, so you can just go see that as well. That's Invigorate Health, InvigorateHealthTN.com to get those COVID tests for the game on Thursday. And my Instagram story also has me singing this 10-year-old Ed Sheeran song that Caroline just happened to sneak a video of me, you know.
Well, I heard it getting louder and louder, and I heard your singing voice, as lovely as it was, getting louder and louder.
Sure.
So I said, I got to get the cameras ready here.
Let's get to the game last night. It was a good one next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
I don't know how you could watch that performance and think that there was anything positive about it.
The voice of the fan.
The performance was a D-.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. Right now, they're running a tune-up special for one system for only $55. You heard that right. A great tune-up special for only $55. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. You get 6 months no-interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, locally owned and operated, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Sail on in to Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman. On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. How about Monday Night Football last night? Colts and Ravens.
That game was nuts.
One of us picked the Colts plus 7.5.
Well, you still didn't win.
I did win.
You didn't.
7.5. The Ravens scored a touchdown overtime.
You did. Dang it.
Now, I will say this.
I don't know why you just had a brain fart there.
One of us picked Mark Andrews as an anytime touchdown scorer. He scored 2. One of us
mean you win more.
One of us picked Hollywood Brown as an anytime touchdown scorer.
Who also scored a touchdown before Mark Andrews.
He scored the game-winning touchdown, too. He scored 2-2.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Where were you last night?
I was asleep.
Wake up!
I was asleep.
I mean, my goodness.
I was tired of dealing with you all day.
There's some truth to that. Now, I'll say this about last night's game. Couple of things. First off, I thought that it was a complete and utter choke job by the Indianapolis Colts. I thought
100%.
that it was, I mean, to me, I just thought that they're missing field goals and, well, the kickers are, okay, fine, whatever. But they got one block. They missed what would have won the game for them. I thought the Ravens were terrible last night. I mean, terrible. I turned the game off. I did. Because I was watching, and I want to say the Lamar Jackson fumble that probably should have been like a touchdown or down at like the 5-yard line. And then they called that freak forward lateral on the review. I thought was insane. But I thought that Indy was going to blow out the Ravens. The Ravens looked terrible last night early in that game. And so it looked like a blowout was coming, and I thought, surely, I know Wentz stinks, but he's not gonna ruin this one. So I put on baseball, and I watched the end of the Rays and the Red Sox. And you know as well as I do that at my house I have the option of being able to watch 2 televisions at once, 4 televisions at once, but that would require me to walk up the steps.
Oh, and that is hard, isn't it?
And at that point in time, I didn't feel like walking up the steps. Now,
wake up!
If I thought that the Ravens were going to make a comeback, then that would have been provided the impetus for me to walk up the steps to then put on both games at one time. But I didn't think they would. So then I put on baseball. Red Sox end up winning, and so then I flip back to football, and I'm watching like,
and it's a ball game.
This is a game now. Touchdown Mark Andrews, 2-point conversion. We got a game.
Yep.
And the Indianapolis Colts are trying to drive, and then the kid from the Ravens gets the personal foul penalty, which was just so mind-boggling. And they missed the kick. Ravens get the ball. I thought Lamar Jackson played a good game last night. But here's my takeaways from it. First off, I think Indy's pass defense is a mess. Now, everybody loves Indy's defense because they have DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard. But outside of that, that secondary is atrocious. The other players on defense, Okereke, those guys are awful. I mean, now I understand how Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Aquino were running around for touchdowns against these guys. They're terrible. Indy's defense in the pass game, it's not like it's not like you don't know what the Ravens are going to do. Lamar's either going to hand it off, keep it himself, or throw it. And considering that they don't have anybody good for him to hand it off to, he's running it a lot more and throwing it a lot more. Lamar Jackson should never be, 37 of 43 or something like that? Lamar Jackson should never complete that many passes in a game. Your defense should never allow Lamar Jackson to do that. Lamar's a good player, but Lamar Jackson completing 37 passes and having a completion percentage in the 90s,
that is not Lamar Jackson.
No. So that's one element of it. The second element to me is this. I wonder if Indy is done. Like if this was the game that was the body blow, that having the big lead, blowing the big lead, having the shot for redemption, getting the first field goal block, having another shot at redemption, missing that field goal, losing in overtime, allowing 400 yards to Lamar, if the floodgates now open on Indy season. Now their schedule gets a little bit easier, so maybe they can regroup. But they play San Francisco on Sunday Night Football. They still got Tampa Bay. I believe they have the Chargers maybe. I mean, they still got some good teams that they have to play. And they have to play you again. I wonder if, given the way things are, if the Colts are done. Like mentally, that they look up at the standings and they see the Titans so far ahead of them that they know that their margin for error is tiny and they just can't mentally regroup. Now, they're going to say all the right things, but as far as actually regrouping, I don't know if Indy can do it. I also am not sure that Indy is good enough. I also am not sure if Indy is coached well enough because some of the mistakes they made yesterday to me were coaching. And why they don't give Jonathan Taylor the football on every play, I don't know. But that's the way that the Colts are doing things. The other takeaway I had from the game last night was I'm really hard on the Titans right now when I feel like they make sloppy mistakes because I look at them competing with the Ravens, the Browns, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bills, and I'm like, if you make all these mistakes, you won't be able to compete with these teams. The Ravens made a lot of those mistakes yesterday. And I know that it was Indianapolis. And as we learned 2 weeks ago, you can make a lot of mistakes with Indianapolis and still get away with it. But I wonder if maybe even all the good teams are making those kind of mistakes. Like if I'm just not as critical of what the Ravens do or of what the Chargers do as I am of what the Titans do for obvious reasons. So I almost felt better about the Titans after last night's game because I thought Indianapolis, I think that mentally and emotionally and even like, are they any good? Probably not. And so I think that's a great way to feel about it. Whereas I was looking at the game, watching it, thinking, oh, my God, if Indy wins this game, now Indy's going to have momentum, and it's going to be a one-game lead, and then, whatever, Indy loses. And then the mistakes the Titans are making that I have just complained about for 12 hours over the last 3 Mondays. Maybe everybody else is doing it too. And maybe that's just the sloppiness of the league. The Ravens dumb penalties, get busted up on a screen, personal foul at the end of the game, fumbling the football. My goodness, Lamar Jackson fumbled the football like 4 times last night, and 2 of them hurt. The other 2 reviewed right at the second right there where he fumbled it. Did he fumble? Did he not fumble? I mean, I look at it and I'm like, maybe the Titans are not, in the mistakes they're making that drive me crazy, maybe it's not as bad as I feel. Busted coverages, bad secondary play. Indy's secondary yesterday was terrible. Maybe it's not just the Titans that are feeling these things that I saw in the game last night. So I came out of the game last night feeling much better about the Titans than we all know I went into it yesterday because I was so disappointed with the way that they played at Jacksonville.
Well, and I think you can also feel much better about the Titans knowing that Indy is now 1-4 and digging themselves in a hole that almost feels impossible to dig out of. But if you also look at the next 3 games for the Titans, they have an incredibly difficult stretch coming up. And Indy's schedule is letting up a little bit in the next few weeks. So things absolutely are not over. I mean, Indy can put themselves back into the conversation through the Titans' difficult games and through their easier games. But giving up a lead like they had last night
on national TV.
It was bad. I mean, I thought that game was over at the half.
Giving up that lead on national TV. The Ravens, sloppy play. My goodness. They got the punter out there trying a field goal, and the guy jumps off sides, and then they can bring the kicker back out there. Oh, my God. I'd have had a heart attack. If that was not Marlon Humphrey who jumped off sides and instead it was Caleb Farley, oh, my God, somebody pray for the coronary arteries of Jared Stillman.
911, what's your emergency?
Aneurysm.
Jared Stillman's dead.
I mean, my goodness. The Ravens stunk up the joint last night.
Yeah, they did. They had no right winning that game.
They had 2 players.
They were a Rodrigo Blankenship away from losing that game.
They had 2 players show up last night, Lamar Jackson and Calais Campbell. Those 2 dudes showed up, and we all know about Calais Campbell. I mean, those dudes everybody else, that was awful. That was awful, some of the things the Ravens did yesterday. But I guess my point is, a lot of the bad things the Ravens did yesterday are things that I get mad about when the Titans do. And, maybe the Ravens do them, the Browns do them, the Chargers do them, the Bills do them, the Chiefs do them. Maybe they all do them. And I'm just too critical of the Titans because I want the Titans to be able to win the Super Bowl or compete for the Super Bowl that, when they play Buffalo on Monday, for example, Buffalo will do some of those dumb things and it will counterbalance out the dumb things you do. I don't know.
Question for you. Let's put the Titans in the situation that the Ravens were in last night at the half. What was the score? Like 26-3, 29, something like that.
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
They were down bad.
Yeah.
Are the Titans able to dig themselves out of that hole? In 2 quarters.
In any other game you've watched Lamar Jackson play, is 400 yards and 4 touchdowns a legitimate possibility for Lamar Jackson?
Every week?
To dig themselves out to the point that you're making about, can Tannehill and Henry dig themselves out of that kind of game?
That's what I'm asking.
They did at Seattle.
That's true.
That
is true.
The score at the half in last night's game, let me pull this up. The score at the half in last night's game was 10-3 Indianapolis.
Oh, that is
So that's not that bad.
Not that bad.
No. So, yeah, can the Titans get themselves out of that? Sure.
Out of that, yes.
I mean, here's the thing. I wonder if right now the AFC, and we've talked about the tiers, I wonder if the AFC is just Buffalo, Tier 2, Chargers, Browns, Tier 3, everybody else.
You're not even putting the Chiefs in one of the first 2 tiers?
No. And here's why I say I won't put the Chiefs there. They lost to both the Chargers and the Bills. And the Bills, it was convincing. And the Chargers, it was at home. And so, I mean, the defense for the Chiefs is as bad as the Titans' defense, if not worse.
Yeah,
like, it's legitimately as
bad.
The best team I've ever seen was the 2007 Patriots. I saw something yesterday. They averaged like 7-point-something yards per play, the 2007 Patriots, the team that was undefeated and then lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. The Chiefs' defense is allowing more than the 2007 Patriots were gaining on offense. The Chiefs' defense is awful.
Chiefs' defense is bad. Their offensive line is bad.
So I would go.
But their defense hasn't always been an elite defense.
No,
it hasn't been like the Tampa Bay 2020
bad.
defense. But now
It's
their
bad.
offense isn't able to make up for it.
If you had given the Titans the 2019 defense with Dean Pease as opposed to the 2020 defense with the 2020 offense, the Titans would have been by far the second best team in the AFC.
Wow.
But they weren't because they had a horrible defense. So let's take your phones. Your thoughts on last night's game, 615-737-1025 with this question. Do we think the Colts are done? Do we think Indy, after that debilitating loss and the way they've played this year, do we think Indy is as far as us being worried about them for the South, are we done worried about Indy? 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to your phones next. Stillman & Company right here. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. Hey, let me tell all the fine folks out there something that's probably pretty important, that join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November 4th. Learn more at lightthenight.org/TM.
In 2 days.
He scores! Philip Forsberg! A rifle shot!
Nashville Predators hockey returns.
Now the real work starts, and we want to build on our momentum we have and keep improving every day.
Your exclusive home for every second of the action is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Styx return in a new program, Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 8, 7 Central on News Nation.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box store. Shop local, shop social.
It's football season and Social Furniture has the best lifetime guarantee motion furniture on sale now. Their sofas with recliners are push-button electric and wall-away with all colors to choose from for your comfort. Sectionals from $9.99, recliners from $3.99. Sectionals with Chase Lounge and all-electric recliners from $19.99. Social Furniture will have you football ready with all furniture that are plus leather, microfiber, and There's no waiting, and take home your new motion furniture today or with their same-day fine furniture delivery. Social Furniture has no down payments and no interest. You don't want to miss out on their best lifetime guarantee motion furniture sale going on now.
Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. It's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge in design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting were new and exciting for us 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other cities coming to Genesis to see what we're all about, and even buy their wives' jewelry from us. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads. Others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, don't compromise. Come to the jeweler that sets the industry standards year after year. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out freedomtireguys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at freedomtireguys.com.
With Fundbox, you can stop waiting and start doing. If your small business needs funds to grow, the time is now. Fundbox offers fast, easy access to small business funding up to $150,000. So hire that new employee, launch that campaign, buy that piece of equipment. Apply in minutes at fundbox.com, and you could get funding as soon as the next business day. Fundbox. Ready, set, grow. Credit line amounts, rates, and terms are based on creditworthiness and subject to change. Additional documentation may be required.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Second and goal, second in the game. There it is, caught, touchdown, Marquise Brown, and this game is over. It belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. A furious comeback.
It was a furious comeback for the Ravens. Was that the Ravens Radio Network, Dan?
Not quite. That
was not.
That was ESPN.
Oh, ESPN?
Yeah, that was Steve.
Was it?
Heard of it?
Yeah.
Was it? That didn't sound like Steve.
Did it not?
Play that one again for me.
Second and goal, second in the game.
Sounds like him.
There it is, caught.
Do y'all think that sounds like Steve Levy?
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
Game is
Yeah.
over.
I must have.
To the Baltimore
I shouldn't say
Ravens.
what I was going to say.
You must have done something.
I must have gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
I must,
What you know about rolling
this
down
water,
the deep?
Yeah, I know. This water I'm drinking right here, it's the little Skittles packet.
That's not water.
Well, it's orange.
Yeah, why is it orange?
Because you take a bottle of water and you put a little thing of Skittles mix in it, and it tastes, like orange Skittle.
That is disgusting.
No, it's fine.
Are you 11? That is so gross.
Well, maybe somebody, hacked into my Skittle packet, and that it's, whatever. No, you can go
They leaked your Skittles.
You can go to the grocery store, and you can buy, like, the little drink mix, like the little sticks.
Like a
and
little Crystal Light thing?
Yeah. And so they have Skittle flavored things, so I bought it, and I just have a bunch of them downstairs. So when I grabbed the water, I was like, okay, well.
Can I try one?
Sure.
Okay.
The other Caroline doesn't like them.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they're really necessarily going to be on my list of things that I do like, but I'll give it a try.
Okay, there you go. We're asking whether or not Indianapolis is done. Somebody texted me. We'll get to your phones in just a second. Text line, phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Somebody texted me and said, Colts done. If you agree with the bookmakers for the next two games for each team, the Titans-Colts game on Halloween will be for the division lead. Let me say this. I don't think Indy's good at all. Like, we talked yesterday about, are the Titans a good team? And we had a hard time saying yes.
But we also had a hard time saying no.
Right. I mean, I feel pretty confident in saying the Colts aren't really a good team. They're not reliable at all. And I thought Wentz, that may have been the best game I've seen Wentz play in 3 or 4 years. And it still wasn't good enough. With all the things the Ravens did wrong, it still wasn't good enough. And that defense that everybody says, hey, the Colts defense is stout, and they are Nick Westbrook-Akina and Chester Rogers are scoring touchdowns on them. And when they play the good players, they have no answer in the secondary. Mark Andrews ate them alive in the second half last night. We saw Julio, before he got hurt, eat them alive in that game. They are not good. Their defense is ranked 23rd in points allowed right now. The Titans are 26th. I need to look up what the Titans are now that last game's over. The Titans are 24th. So the Titans are right there with Indy. But the difference is the Titans have the 10th best offense in the league. Indianapolis has the 21st best offense in the league. I mean, I'm not saying the Colts are done. I'm just not dismissing the possibility that the Colts are done.
I think that's kind of where I am. I think as a Titans fan, you can kind of breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief of like, okay, where it stands at this point in the season, the way that the Colts are playing and the way that the record stands, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to crawl out of it and make a legitimate case to win the AFC South. And the Titans still own that tiebreaker. So if you're looking at it from a divisional standpoint, the Titans absolutely do have the advantage here. But it would be one thing if it was like, okay, the Colts are 1-4, but their starting quarterback is hurt and he'll be back next week. Or, these two game changers are hurt, they'll be back next week. I mean, this just kind of seems like this is what the Indianapolis Colts are. Mm-hmm. I know we may be waiting for something, waiting for them to kind of push to that next level, but we haven't really seen that would be the case with Indianapolis.
Let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Josh texts in and says they should be done, talking about Indianapolis, but knowing the Titans, they don't do things they should, like keeping the stranglehold on the division, and after our next few games, we definitely could be tied with Indy.
Here's the thing, and I told you all this, that I believe the Titans are going to win one of those 3 games between the Bills, Chiefs, Colts are the 3rd game, and then the Rams. Which I was stunned because I thought it was Bills, Colts, Rams, or no, Bills, Chiefs, Rams, Colts. Mm-hmm. It's Colts then Rams. But you see, I'm only looking at one game at a time. I'm trying to keep my focus like the players should on one game. That was a joke.
What?
I said that was a joke. I'm not looking at it one game at a time.
Well, okay.
The players always say, we're only worried about the next game, but I'm not a player, so I can look at it.
But yeah, okay.
I think they can win one of those 3. Like the games that you look at and you're like, how are they going to beat the Bills are the best team in football. How are they going to beat the Bills? The Rams might be the second best team in football. How are they going to beat the Rams? The Chiefs are the 2-time defending AFC champions. How are they going to beat the Chiefs? But I'm telling you, I think they're going to win one of them.
But I don't think they're the big bad Chiefs that we've been thinking over the past couple of years. And I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season.
Who do the Chiefs play this week? I asked that because whoever the Chiefs are playing this week is going to lose 45-0.
Let's see.
And they could be playing the NFC All-Stars. And they'll win that game 45-0. I mean, the Chiefs are going to kill whoever they play this week.
They are playing.
I bet it's like the Raiders or
the
something.
Washington football team.
Oh,
they're going to get destroyed.
Thoughts and prayers to Coach Ron Rivera and the Washington football team.
Oh, no.
I think the Titans are going to win one of these games. But my whole point is that, Indianapolis, we said yesterday, if they lost this game, they're looking at probably 8 or 9 losses for sure. I don't see the Titans losing 8 or 9 games. Right now, and I don't even think the Titans have played particularly well, the Titans are on pace to go 10-7. Now, anything's possible, especially with the Titans. But you got to remember that with Derrick Henry as your running back, you're going to win some games now.
And you have to keep in mind, too, the Colts play more difficult out-of-division games. The Titans get New Orleans. Indianapolis gets Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So the Titans-New Orleans game could be kind of a back-and-forth game. I don't really necessarily know how that's going to shake out at this point, but also I know exactly how the Colts-Tampa Bay game is going to shake out.
Sure. And the Colts also have to play the Bills, which you
do as well.
You play the Bills. I don't know. And I'll say this. If you look at the power rankings, did you see who the number 1 team in almost every power ranking is? Buffalo. And what I tell you, win big at Kansas City, everybody's going to be talking about you. Everybody's going to be smooching that rear end of yours. You're going to get fat and happy. And it's happened far too often in the league that team that everybody loves gets a primetime game on TV, and they walk in there and they think they don't smell, and they get their rear end spanked. And you want to know who that happened to last year? The Buffalo Bills. You want to know when it happened to them?
Against the Titans.
When they played the Titans. And I hope that they remember forever the night they played the Titans on a Tuesday night. What else we got?
Austin texts in and says the Titans will beat the Bills because every time the Titans go into a game, we all believe they have no chance of winning. They pull it off somehow.
So I am not ruling that out for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I am not. Now, we're not going to start talking about the Bills yet because it's a Monday night game. And we
got some time.
Between John Gruden getting fired and last night's game and hockey season starting, and we got a lot on our plates. But I'm not going to rule it out either. And I'd be honest with you. If I was going to rule it out, if I thought this was a game they had no chance in, they weren't going to win, I'd tell you. Because we all know I've done that in the past. I mean, I'm not ruling it out that they beat Buffalo on Monday night.
I mean, if they do, a team that loses to the Jets and beats the Buffalo Bills
is a Mike Vrabel team.
Yes. Like, this sport is just so confusing.
Titans beat Kansas City at home, went to Carolina and lost 2 years ago.
Like, why does that make sense? Like, if there's one thing that I know that is logical about the NFL is that it's illogical.
Especially
nothing makes sense
when it comes to a team that is coached by Mike Vrabel. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We're back to your phones next. Plus the power rankings. Not that I care about them, but did you see where they put the Titans?
I was a little shocked.
We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. That's right. And you can get in on all the action with the promo code JGM. You know I absolutely love the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Hockey season is starting today, and there's no better place to bet the NHL than the FanDuel Sportsbook app. NHL parlays are the perfect way to make every shot feel like a hat trick. You can turn a little bet into a big payday. And all season long, FanDuel is giving every customer NHL parlay insurance. You'll get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short. Don't have a FanDuel account? Use the promo code JGM to place your first risk-free bet up to $1,000. FanDuel is always hooking you up with great odds and exclusive offers. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. This season, make every moment more and bet on the NHL with the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And remember to use the promo code JGM so they know that I sent you. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Parlay insurance max refund $25 per day. Risk-free bet for first online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. For parlay insurance and 14 days for risk-free bet. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Nashville.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime!
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The 2021 Major League Soccer season isn't over yet, Nashville. Are you in? There are just 2 regular season home matches remaining as we make our final push for a playoff spot. Don't miss the action on Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. against the Columbus Crew. Or catch the last regular season match of the season on Sunday, November 7th at 2:30 p.m. against New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Come be a part of the most unique sports experience in Nashville. Tickets are on sale now from just $22 at NashvilleSC.com. Everyone in.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at MeadeTractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Do you have a VA or FHA home loan? You gotta listen to this important update from Loan Pronto. You can refi now and snag a new rate in the low 2s. Lower your house payment big time. Hey, it's Willie Donick, and wait, it gets even better. With Loan Pronto, you can do this with no appraisal, no income documentation, and no cash due at signing. Who else does this? VA and FHA mortgage rates have come down a lot. You need to act now. Loan Pronto specializes in VA and FHA streamlined loan. They can even cover all your closing costs, and you will love their all-digital, no-hassle process. Call Loan Pronto now or go to loanpronto.com. They also have options where VA homeowners can refinance and get cash out of your home's equity, up to 100% of its value. Pay off credit cards or do that home improvement project. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. VA and FHA loans made simple. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost refi.
Here they come. Turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lovitz. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
All right, we got some Titans news to get to. Stillman and company. The Titans have made a handful of roster transactions. They got rid of Woodrow Hamilton IV. He's been cut. They signed 2 guys to the practice squad. Do you care about those 2 offensive linemen in the practice squad?
Yes, I do. Read them out.
Derwin Cray and Jimmy Murray.
I love Jimmy Murray.
Okay, where did he go to college?
He went to the University of San Diego.
Holy Cross.
Oh, it was close. That was my second choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's only a solid 8,000 miles away from one another.
Well, he loves to go to San Diego on vacation.
True. Brett Kern got placed on the COVID list. So, he's already hurt. And now he's got COVID list. And
I'm a little bit worried that there could be another breakout. I think this is isolated since he's injured.
Well, I just don't think they have many unvaccinated guys on the team.
Yeah, but you can still test positive even if you're vaccinated.
Sure, but for the most part, one guy who's a punter, and I don't know if Kern's vaccinated or not.
Yeah, I don't know
My
either.
gut tells me one thing that for, whatever. But I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
I'll worry about it tomorrow if we're getting 3 guys on there. Then I got
fair.
The Titans have placed Ty Sambrailo on the retired list.
He's retiring?
And here's my thing. They need Ty Sambrailo. They don't have any tackles.
Oh, boy.
Still
in Raiden's time.
He's the backup swing tackle. So now, if Sambrailo is retired, then Kendall Lamb has to go in the game if something happens. I will explain to you all that I knew from the second day of practice when they weren't even wearing pads that Kendall Lamb sucked. I remember going over to Joe and being like, he stinks. And Joe was like, well, can you tell with anything without them wearing pads? I'm like, Joe, he sucks. Then the next day they had him playing left tackle and they had Quessenberry at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. This idea that he was going to compete for right tackle, nope. They got into 2 days of practice and said, this guy stinks.
He's definitely not competing for left tackle.
Move him over, move him off. And so then Vrabel was asked, after the second day of camp, what he thought about the right tackle position. And Vrabel was like, well, Ty will come back in there. And, Ty's going to get back. And when Ty gets back in there, we'll see what we got at right tackle. And then he was asked later, if Lamb was still an option for right tackle. And he said, sure. I think Lamb and Ty and Quest, and I think they are all an option for right tackle. Well, then Quessenberry, as I told Joe a week into practice, Quessenberry's the right tackle. Sambrailo is the backup to both tackle spots. And now he's retiring. And you got to ask, why is he retiring?
Mm-hmm.
Because, Lord, please don't let him retire. They need him. They need him. And so this is kind of I think every other radio show in town will see Ty Sambrailo retiring. And they'll just kind of, whatever, just put it out. They need him. So I'm concerned.
I think it's fair to be concerned, especially because what is one issue that we have seen, one of many, unfortunately, one of many issues that we have seen from the Titans so far this year, it's offensive line problems. And it's not gelling, the offensive linemen not gelling with one another, not being able to rely on the offensive line. Ryan Tannehill getting sacked several times in each game. So I think that not having that depth of a guy that you've been with throughout camp, a guy that has practiced with those guys throughout camp, throughout the season, has taken reps at that position.
Was on the team last year. I
think losing that experience is going to be kind of detrimental, even if it is a depth piece.
I think Vrabel has got to convince Sambrailo to come back.
Finish up the season.
I think he's got to beg him. I think Vrabel's got to beg him.
But where did this come from?
Sambrailo retiring?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I've never spoken to Ty Sambrailo a day in my life. I have no idea how he feels. I have no idea. to say like, oh, well, he hates Vrabel or he hates the team or he hates Keith Carter.
Well, we don't know
I don't know any of that. Like, it's not like Taylor Lewan who spills his guts out every 25 minutes. You know exactly what he thinks.
It's kind of nice.
I mean, think about this. Right now at tackle, you've got 4 guys at tackle. You've got your unreliable left tackle who's missed half the games over the last 2.5 years, who cries like a baby every time something doesn't go his way or, tries to own everybody when things do go his way.
No bad days, though.
Yeah. You got a practice squad right tackle who's not a starter, but he's your starter. You've got a swing tackle who stinks in Kendall Lamb and probably honestly doesn't really belong on a roster in the NFL. And you've got your second-round pick who you're trying to convince everybody is a guard and cannot play tackle.
But we were told he can play all 5 positions.
I mean, that's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And it's an accident waiting to happen. I mean, knock on wood, you only need 2 tackles. I believe they brought Kendall Lamb in the game the other day to be the 3rd tackle on a running play down around the goal line. I think they tried to run on first down with no fullback in the game. This one got me. 1st and goal from like the 1, no fullback in the game. They try to run Derrick. He gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, look, if it's 1st and goal from the 1 and you're going to give the ball to Derrick Henry and everybody in the world knows you're going to run it with Derrick, you might as well put the fullback in, right? The second time, the quarter changed to the second quarter, and the Titans brought the fullback in and the tackle in, and they ran the ball right up the middle, and Derrick walked in for a touchdown, which definitely grinded my gears. I wanted to get to the power rankings. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. But we also got your phones that I want to get to as well. And I don't know. Am I making too big a deal out of the Sombrello retirement?
I don't know. That is a good question. Tackle depth is an issue. And from what we saw from Kendall Lamb, wasn't that encouraging. So, if something were to happen to Quesenberry or Lewan, they could be in some trouble quickly. Although I will say Sombrello hasn't really made a huge impact since he got hurt. But I don't know. Tackle depth is always an issue.
Yeah, because I'm with Ian. He hasn't made huge contributions, but just not having him as a security, I think, is what's concerning to me.
Yeah, Lamb stinks.
And it's not as simple as just picking another guy up off
and
of
they've been
waivers.
dropping bodies left and right on the offensive line in games, week to week. Brewer wasn't able to play this week. They had Corey Levin in at guard for Saffold, who feels like Saffold's going to be dealing with something every game. So, offensive linemen are dropping like flies around the league, to be honest with you.
615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones next, plus the power rankings here on the program. Stillman and Company, we are delivered by TriStar Moving. It's like every time you feel like you get a little good news with the Titans, then you see something that you're like, oh, no.
Oh, no, don't do that.
And that's how I feel about this. 1025 The Game has your chance to win Preds tickets during the month of October. Just post a picture of your radio dial set to 1025 The Game on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Tag The Game and use the hashtag TicketDash to be instantly qualified to win. Show us your dash, brought to you by Social Furniture. Support local. Support social. Stillman and Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny skies for us this afternoon. Highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. Small storm chances return to the forecast on Wednesday. Rain totals will be minimal.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Sticks return in a new program, Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 8, 7 Central on News Nation.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The Wave technology at Hillside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
102.5 The Game has your chance to win Preds tickets all month long. Just post a picture of your radio dial set to 102.5 The Game on social media and tag the game and use hashtag TicketDash to be instantly qualified. All brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop local. Shop social.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Sail on in to Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out freedomtireguys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at freedomtireguys.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
Robbie Stanley.
That size and that speed just doesn't grow on trees. That could be something that you could really turn into.
Joe Rexrode.
Just hold out and somebody will call in the bad signal.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company. Hey, let me tell all the fine folks out there about tickets. You know, I love it. And you can win some tickets if you want to see the Doobie Brothers at Bridgestone Arena October 25th. Head over to YouTube and subscribe to the 102.5 The Game YouTube page. You'll enter for your chance to see the Doobie Brothers. Once you subscribe, email us at promotions@cromwellmedia.com with your YouTube handle. One winner will be chosen on Monday, October 18th. And it should be stated for the record that it is Caroline Fenton's job for you all to go subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you like Caroline, go do it.
If I want to have food on my table, it relies on you all subscribing to the YouTube page.
In fact, I think we should make an edict.
Should we?
If 10 people subscribe to the YouTube channel this segment, you don't get fired.
I was thinking more like you have to pay me $10,000. Maybe somewhere in the middle.
Ian, what do you think? If 10 people subscribe to the YouTube channel, we keep Caroline. If not, she's got to go.
I say that's fair.
Ooh.
Ian, the voice of reason, being completely irrational.
Wow. That does sound a little harsh, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Ian.
It's her job. Get the
and she does a great
subscribe.
job. And she does
Thanks,
a great
Ian.
job.
She does a good job.
Thank you. It's your job to not piss me off every day, but you're not doing such
my
great
job.
job.
That is not my job. And if you could just, if you had gotten to know the guy who had the that did the show with me before you, I tell you that was not part of his job either, or part of my job to not piss him off, because every now and then I got a little.
Lance comes on the stream and says, if you fire me, then they all riot. And if you don't want to riot in the streets because of how much the people enjoy my presence on this show.
I don't want to talk about myself because that's not something I enjoy doing. But I'll just say this. I was the one who, when we hired you, everybody was like, who is that? And I was like just trust me on this one, people.
It's me.
Like, you'll see. Because, like, what normal people, or I shouldn't say what normal people do, but you know how, like, if you do what everybody else does, you'll get average results?
Uh-huh.
So what average people do is they hire, like, somebody that's already in that market, or someone that they have on as a guest or something like that. Or, somebody who played at the University of Tennessee, whatever.
Go Vols.
And they just hire that person, and they just have no experience, and they open up a microphone, and they say, here you go. And I was like, or they, like, hire someone that's been on the air before. And I was like, we don't need to do that. And our bosses didn't think that we needed to do that. And they found you, and I was like, as soon as we had, like, a Zoom conversation, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is it. Let's go. And I think that the people in charge kind of felt that way too. So then we went through, like, the vetting process and everything else, and I was kind of out of all that. But then they hire Caroline, and we add her to the show, and people have no idea who this is. They're like, who is this? Whereas,
it's
like,
Caroline.
these other people, they
know her.
they have, like, an idea of who these people are. Like, no one has any idea who you are.
Right.
And so I remember being like, there's going to be, like, a 2-week period where everyone's like, I don't even know who this is. And then after that, it's going to be like, oh, that's great. That's great. And now we're going through the period of everyone being like, oh, yeah, I mean, she's great. She's, It was funny because, like, I kind of told Chad Withrow before we hired you that we were going to hire you, but I didn't tell him who it was. I was just like, yeah, somebody at ESPN we're talking to. I don't know. And so Chad, like how anybody would be, especially
They'd
me.
be nosy.
I'd want to know who it was.
Yeah.
I didn't tell Chad. And then, like, we hired you, and, like, a month later, he was like, oh, yeah, Caroline's great. I was like, I know. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Caroline
Happy
will
to be here.
Caroline will be a free agent in about 20 minutes if 10 people don't subscribe to that YouTube channel, so get on to doing that right now.
But what is the alternative? 10 people subscribe. Is it Fenton and Company? That feels like the alternative to getting fired is getting promoted.
No,
this is not a one-sided thing.
Do you know what the alternative to getting fired is?
Not getting fired.
There you go. All right, so the ESPN Power Rankings are out. And I was stunned. And I don't even know why I clicked the Power Rankings this morning, honestly. I was sitting there watching TV, and I was like, yeah, I'll click the Power Rankings. And I literally you can jump to any team. And I just click Titans because I'm like, where should they be? Because, like, after you lose to the Jets, you go all the way down the tubes. I mean, just right down the tubes.
But they didn't go as far down as I expected them to after they lost to the Jets.
They went to 18.
From 15.
But, like, 18's bad.
But from where they are now.
I was shocked.
I mean.
11?
11.
They are 11. 11.
But to drop 3 spots after losing to the Jets and then go up 7 after beating the good-for-nothing Jags
they
doesn't make any sense.
They didn't even play a good game on Sunday, and they're up to 11. Here's who's behind them. Carolina, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Denver, Chicago, the Raiders, the 49ers, and then all the other 2 and 3 teams. Patriots, Seahawks, Steelers, you name it.
Washington football team, Vikings.
Here's who's ahead of them. The Chiefs at 2 and 3. Cleveland, Baltimore, Chargers, Dallas, how Dallas, and I know Dallas beat the Chargers, how Dallas is ahead of the Chargers is beyond me. But
the Chargers, I think, are a better team, but I understand what they have to do that at this point.
Here's how I'd rank it at the top.
Okay.
Buffalo 1. Arizona 2 because they're 5-0.
I agree with that.
Rams 3, Chargers 4.
Above the Bucks?
Yes. I love the Chargers.
I
love the Chargers. I think they're awesome. But 11?
I would put the Chargers above Dallas, for sure.
11 for the Titans? Like, that is the second craziest ranking that I have seen this week. The first being Oklahoma at 4.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
But, like, the Titans at 11?
Up from 18. 17.
For beating Jacksonville.
For beating the good-for-nothing Jaguars.
Who did Carolina lose to this week?
Philly.
That's a pretty bad loss.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, all these 3-2
It's not
teams.
Jets bad, but
all
it's
these
bad.
3-2 teams have a loss on there where you're like, that wasn't very pretty.
Yeah.
Would you put the Panthers ahead of the Titans?
Panthers, who have they beaten? They've beaten New Orleans. They had another big one in there, didn't they?
They beat the
Houston.
Jets.
And they beat the
I think
Jets.
they beat the Jets.
They beat the
Darnold
Jets,
was
the
this game.
Saints, and the Texans.
Yeah,
So, no.
Saints. Would you put the Saints ahead of the Titans?
No, because they also have a bad loss.
Yeah,
they lost to
the
the Giants.
at home.
Yes.
Bengals.
Bengals are interesting.
They went down to the wire. Here's the thing, though.
They went down to the wire with Jacksonville.
Bengals are 14 up from 16. The Bengals are ahead of the Titans if they make a field goal.
Yeah. That's the difference.
The Bengals might be ahead of the Chiefs if they make a field goal and beat the Packers, because then everybody's talking
4-1.
about how they beat the Packers.
They beat the Packers and they're 4-1. Yeah, I would put, if Cincinnati beat Green Bay, which they were not far off from at all, I would put them maybe at 7. Above Baltimore, maybe, but below the Chargers, below Tampa Bay. But then again, where do you put Green Bay then? At 3-2.
I don't love Green Bay.
Well, I mean, I'm saying if they would have lost to Cincinnati.
I'm with you. There's a lot of teams that I don't like that I look at where they're ranked, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you got to rank them ahead of a 2-3 Patriot team or a 2-3 Steeler team or something like that. I mean, it's crazy when you start going through it and you see the Titans at 11. It's kind of crazy because you're like, well, actually, I think the Titans would beat the Panthers. I think the Titans would beat the Saints. I think the Titans would beat the Raiders. I think the Titans would beat the Bears.
Could is, I think, key there.
Well, I mean, yes. Outside of the go out there and crap their pants kind of.
Go out there and
Jets
let Tannehill
game.
get sacked 7 times against the Jets.
Yeah, that's bad. Then boy, I don't know. I mean, even the Ravens yesterday, we were talking about this earlier in this hour, but in that Ravens-Colts game, the Ravens took an inexcusable personal foul at the end of the game. Should have cost them the game. Offsides on a field goal that Indianapolis missed with their punter, where they were allowed to bring their kicker back in who made it. Justin Houston got called for a personal foul for grabbing the back nameplate of Carson Wentz on a horse collar tackle, wiped out a huge sack. It was a 22-yard swing in that game. Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball twice, including one that was cost them a touchdown as they were right on knocking on the goal line, and the Ravens still won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of like a wow, and the Ravens are a top 10 team.
And that
But
says
the Ravens,
way more about the Colts than it says about the Ravens.
But the Ravens, my point is about the Ravens screw-ups is they're a top 10 team. And they screwed up just as much as you screwed up this past week. And all the screw-ups that we've brought up about the Titans in some of these games they've been winning.
But they're also a top 10 team that's 4-1.
I'm not a huge I think the Ravens are fine. But I don't like the Ravens today as much as I liked the Ravens yesterday after everything they did.
I would agree with that.
And
I mean, they kept it close with the Colts, but they beat the Chiefs.
That's why I told you yesterday that's why I told you earlier today that I truly believe the Bills in the AFC are by themselves. Then the Chargers and Browns, because that was a down-to-the-wire, neck-and-neck fight between those two teams. And ultimately, I would take the Chargers over the Browns only because of Herbert over Baker. But I think those are the second and third best teams in the AFC.
But if they play that game 10 times, I think it's like Chargers win 6, Browns win 4. It's very close.
And I think they win 6 because of Herbert.
Yeah.
But then you've got, the Ravens, the Chiefs, whatever. And yesterday I would have put the Ravens up there with the Chargers and the Browns, and now I'm dropping them down because of all the mistakes they made yesterday.
I think that's fair.
But I guess 11 probably makes sense for the Titans. But it's crazy because all I've done is complain about them for a month. It's all very tough to figure out.
It's so incredibly difficult to figure out because I can't put my finger on what teams are good and what teams have gotten lucky, what teams have just played bad teams. Like with the Bengals, I don't know what they are. Are they a good team? Are they a bad team that's gotten lucky and they were able to get things together in the second half against Jacksonville? I don't know. Are the Packers bad? Maybe. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Let's go to your phones. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And we'll hit the headlines with Caroline, and we'll do that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Ian, do I have to tell any of the fine folks anything? No, I do not. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
The voice of reason.
That whole operation and choices and the plan and everything looked like garbage.
The voice of the fan.
There's a lot of loyal fans paying a lot of good money, and we just feel like we deserve the decency to give us a little bit more of an answer there.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When you purchase a certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, you have the power of the star backing your car. To meet certification standards, a car has to be less than 6 years old with less than 75,000 miles. All certified vehicles come with 24/7 personal assistance and an extra 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. Right now, you can get 1.99% financing for 36 months on select 2017 to 2019 certified models at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. See more at mbofmc.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money, and I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap, it's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value, exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America, a premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Camarena CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body, and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Camarena CBD. Camarena means healing, and that right there says it all. Camarena is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Camarena is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at Camarena.com. Camarena CBD, curated for life.
With Fundbox, you can stop waiting and start doing. If your small business needs funds to grow, the time is now. Fundbox offers fast, easy access to small business funding up to $150,000. So hire that new employee, launch that campaign, buy that piece of equipment. Apply in minutes at fundbox.com, and you could get funding as soon as the next business day. Fundbox. Ready, set, grow. Credit line amounts, rates, and terms are based on creditworthiness and subject to change. Additional documentation may be required.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
1025 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. We will get to your phones. By the way, Trevor Maddich later this hour, ESPN college football analyst. Wild weekend in college football. We'll get to that as well. Ian asked us during the break if we think Lamar Jackson has turned a corner as a passer, and both Caroline and I just said no.
No way.
400 yards last night.
Which might be a career high. I don't know off the top of my head what Lamar
I think
Jackson's stats are.
I think it was a Ravens record.
No way.
Well, the Ravens have never had a good quarterback until now.
Well, I know, but it's just shocking coming from Lamar Jackson, somebody who is so notorious for being a running quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have much of an option, though. They don't have any running backs. And the Colts are a team that has, one of the best DTs in the league and one of the best middle linebackers in the league, so they're great at stopping the run. That's why the only guy who normally runs for 100 yards against them is Derrick Henry. But they are suspect at best in the back end.
The Ravens have rebuilt themselves a nice little running back core. It's not as good as, obviously, all of their 3 starting running backs when they were healthy. But, I mean, it's not anything to turn your nose up at. As you turn your nose up at it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Time now for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Headlines with Caroline, presented by Fiero Tequila, the world's spiciest infused tequila on the market. The world belongs to the brave.
So the Astros have been accused of stealing signs in their first 2 games against the Chicago White Sox, which feels a little bit like deja vu all over again. So Houston beat Chicago handedly in their first 2 games, had 2 easy wins in a row. Game 3 gave them some trouble. White Sox took a big win there. So the first 2 games, White Sox struck out a total of 16 batters and did that in just 1 game, in Game 3. So games 1 and 2, 16 total. Game 3, 16 total. So Ryan Tepera, who's a pitcher for the White Sox, had 2 perfect innings, said he noticed the difference between the Astros at home and on the road. He said they obviously had a reputation of doing some sketchy stuff over there in Houston. So the Astros manager, Dusty Baker, responded to it and said those are very heavy accusations. And he said, I think they're actually better at home than they are on the road, so it can work both ways. So a lot of shipping going on between the White Sox and the Astros.
Well, the Astros are up 6-1 right now, and I think they're going, in the 6th inning, and so I think they're going to eliminate the White Sox in about the next hour.
So, joke's on you, White Sox.
Let's see what Dusty has to say after the game.
Yeah, because I think that it is. I haven't watched any of that game, admittedly, today, but I can only imagine that there's been a little bit of talking going on. We'll say that.
I have not watched any of that game either today. My iPad is sitting down beneath me. I will be in an hour watching while I'm on the air, just keeping up in the background.
Yes, of course.
With the Braves and the Brewers as the Braves
background
try to put the
noise.
Brewers out.
Uh-huh.
But I had much more interesting things to watch than the White Sox and Astros playoff game when you showed up today.
You wanted to hang out with me instead?
Well, I was watching a more important game.
Oh, you were watching a very important game that was coming down to the wire, had very important implications in this year of 2021.
Yes,
you're watching a basketball game from 1993.
The 1993 Game 3 of the Eastern Conference playoffs between the Bulls and the Knicks.
Oh, baby.
We sent it down to Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad. What's next?
The NFL plans to host their next overseas game in Germany. And today they announced that they selected 3 potential cities as their landing spot. Dusseldorf, Frankfurt, and Munich will all enter a final bidding stage to host a regular season game. Host city will most likely be announced at the Super Bowl. The next country that the NFL would like to go into is either France, Spain, or the Nordics. Also in the league's longer-term sites to host games, the NFL head of Europe and UK, Brett Cosper, said today.
That was pretty cool. I mean, I went to the game.
Super cool.
I had never been to London before. I went to the game a couple years ago when the Titans played the Chargers.
London, baby.
I loved it. I mean, I loved the Wembley Stadium, and I know that's the old stadium. You know, they got the new stadium now, but
Tottenham.
Yeah, I loved Wembley. I loved London, and if the Titans got a game in France or Germany, I think I'd go.
Oh, it'd be so cool.
I think I would. You know, the Predators were supposed to go to Prague, and I was like, you know, could Jared and the GM find their way on that plane to end up there? Now,
for business reasons, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, but considering, you know, it's probably not going to happen. But I would love to go see a Titan game in France or something like that.
Oh, it'd be so cool. I was supposed to go to the Notre Dame Navy game in Ireland last year because, COVID happened.
Oh, yeah, you were going to go with game day, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, game day was going to be in Ireland. That was going to be my first European trip, but thanks a lot, COVID.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'll go back.
Okay.
I'll go back next year.
There you go. What's next?
This is an interesting story. So there's an argument that broke out in a home in Alabama following Alabama's loss to Texas A&M. So there were two people at this watch party who were getting into a fight, yelling at each other about who the better team was, and it ended in a fatal shooting. So two men started this fight. The host of the party asked them to leave, and then they both went outside. Shots were fired. A 27-year-old male was pronounced dead at the hospital after. Very sad story. The shooter fled the scene. They do know who it is. They just have yet to find him.
Yeah. Like, don't take this stuff too seriously, people. Like, and I know, you know, this happens once every, 5 or 6 years. You hear a story about this. And it's funny when it's the guy who's watching the TV and his team loses and he, kicks
and it's
the TV
funny to pick at your
that.
friends and keeping everything lighthearted.
Don't take this stuff too seriously, people. I mean, that's the thing that I always laugh at, when it comes to sports and how life or death, it feels like these guys take some of this stuff and, at the end of the day, man, it's just sports.
Right. There are way more important things, and that's kind of saying a lot coming from two people whose lives are quite literally dedicated to that game.
Or like Floyd, who literally never slept, and if they lost a game, it was the end of the world and all that. But
he would probably reiterate that sentiment.
Yes. What's next?
Miami quarterback De'Aaron King will be out for the rest of the season with a right shoulder injury. So he sustained the injury in the third game of the season against Michigan State, has not returned since. He spent the entire offseason rehabbing in a torn ACL and will now be out for the rest of the season. He did elect to get surgery on his right shoulder. He didn't absolutely need to, but he was told that would be the quickest recovery and that would be the soonest he could get back to 100% is if he did elect to get that surgery. So he will be out for the rest of the season. Freshman Tyler Van Dyke started in his place the past two games when he's been out, and he will start for Miami for the rest of the season. But Miami's in a difficult spot right now.
How long until Manny Diaz is on the hot seat?
He is.
You think he gets fired at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think he and Coach O can go play golf together whenever they lose their jobs.
Here's my thing about Coach O. You loved him 2 years ago.
Yeah, for good reason. And now I don't like him for good reason.
But 2 years?
If you do your job, we like you. You get praise. If you do your job well, you get praise. If you stop doing your job well,
his job well, and he's going to lose his job the same time Coach O won a national title 2 years ago.
Well, at least we have a trophy to show for it then. But I mean, you're going to show up and say, I wasn't prepared for Kentucky's rushing attack when their running back led the SEC in rushing yards? Now that's just incompetence.
But he's the same guy that won the national championship. Nothing about him has changed.
Except his record.
Well,
that's pretty important as a head football
staff
coach.
Has changed, and they lost the generational quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, then you need to get
as a head coach. What is your job? To hire a coaching staff. He cannot hire a coaching staff. What's your job? To recruit a quarterback. He has not been able to recruit a quarterback or find coaches that can properly coach their players.
It's been 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, I'd fire him too, but it's been 2 years.
Alabama wins a national championship every year. And that's who our direct competition is.
Alabama.
I'm saying our as an LSU fan.
Alabama did not win the championship 2 years ago.
Okay.
They did not win it 3 years ago.
Okay.
They won it last year.
Yes, they did.
And they're probably not going to win it this year.
You don't know.
So that's 1 out of a likely 4 years that Alabama has won a national championship.
Okay.
Fire Saban.
Well, they're not 2 and whatever.
No, I'm going to tell you, LSU sucks.
Okay, thank you. What was all that about?
I just don't see. I never believed that Coach O was a great coach.
I have said this from the very beginning. Ed Orgeron is not an X's and O's coach. He is the guy who can find the right people to do the X's and O's. He's a great recruiter. He's a great motivator because he hasn't done it
for 2 years.
But that's the standard.
He did it 2 years ago.
That
is not the standard. That was an all-time great team. LSU does not. Nick Saban won 1 title there. Les Miles won 1 title there.
I'm not saying the standard.
Won 1 title there. That's the standard to LSU is to win 1 title.
I'm not saying the standard is going 15-0 and having the greatest college football season of all time every year. But the standard isn't getting embarrassed against Kentucky. Kentucky.
I'm just saying, the hypocrisy of, Coach O does all these things really well. Then why don't you let him do them?
Because he hasn't done them.
For 2 years.
That's long enough. I've seen all I need to see.
It's unbelievable.
And with that, I'm out.
What's the
Maybe not that high.
Do y'all have that? I mean, I know, these places usually have the
Well,
money.
I don't know if you've heard about some kind of shady things going on at LSU, but if they need the money, they'll find the money. There was a GoFundMe started for Coach O's buyout after LSU lost to Troy in 2017. A GoFundMe that I did contribute to.
You do realize that Patrick Mahomes cannot pay off Ed Orgeron's buyout right now.
Well, I don't know if it is exactly that. But if he wants to contribute to it, if he just happens to feel pretty passionate about getting Ed O out of that job.
$60 million.
I don't know if it's that high. I'll have to double check on that. But there has just been such a
You guys are going to prove him, aren't you?
Maybe. There's probably enough dirty laundry in there.
What a disaster. Oh, goodness.
I don't think they'll probe him.
Headlines with Caroline, presented by Fiero. Tequila, the spiciest infused tequila on the market. The world belongs to the brave. Coming up next on the program, it was a wild weekend in college football, including Caroline's LSU Tigers getting boat raced by Kentucky, which was the biggest story. And do we think
$27 million?
Okay, that's not it.
Patrick
can
bad.
afford that.
Yeah.
Can Alabama find their way back to the playoff? We'll discuss that next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in all day Thursday as we get you set for the Nashville Predators season opener against the Seattle Kraken. We'll be giving away tickets to the opener every single hour throughout the day and unveil a special programming announcement at 8:30 during Robbie and Rex Road. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Styx return in a new program, Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 8, 7 Central. On News Nation.
Announcing a rare opportunity for huge savings. If you're in the market for replacement windows or doors, Saturday, October 23rd, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is having an open house, offering 10% off all merchandise. That even includes 10% off their current special offers. Mark your calendar and stop by the Pella Windows and Doors in Cool Springs, October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for these great deals. Bring your measurements or snap a picture of your replacement needs and come to Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. And they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Ever shop for a diamond only to have the jeweler tell you he doesn't have what you're looking for in stock, but he can get one brought in for you in a few days?
They hear it again and again. Oh, I don't have it. I can get it for you. Give me few days, see what I have for you. Let me call my dealer.
That's Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon, who says when you hear that, you're in the wrong place.
When you go to other places and they don't have it in stock, that means this is not their specialty. Why do you want to go to a restaurant and wait for them to order the food from somebody else?
But at Genesis, they do specialize in diamonds, and they have them. Thousands, all shapes, all sizes, all in stock every day.
We're ready for you. You want to come and get a 3 carat, 4 carat, 1 carat? We have them in stock because we sell them.
Genesis Diamonds.
We have one of the largest selection in the country.
Where diamonds are not a side business, it is their business.
That's what we think, breathe, and sleep.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
I'm Boaz Ramon, and my accent is always on value.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Seth Small, 10 of 11 on the year, from 28 yards away for an Aggie upset win. And it's good. He got it.
Texas A&M won on Saturday night. Let me say this. I was at a wedding Saturday night, as you well know. I was at a wedding, and...
Did you bust a rug?
I don't know what that means.
Like dance.
You already know the answer to that.
Yeah. You boogie down.
Oh, I was boogieing. But the A&M Alabama game was on at night, and I thought Alabama was going to kill Texas A&M. I didn't think anything of it. I thought A&M was kind of soft, and I thought
they were
Alabama
done.
was just going to go in there and house them, and they didn't. And I say all of this because I am at the wedding enjoying my time, and Floyd's daughter-in-law, Katie Reese, they are very proud Aggies at the Reese family, Sean and Katie. And she's texting me like, oh, my God, we're up 17-7. And I'm sitting there at the dinner portion of this wedding, and I saw that, and I thought, okay, well, Saban's going to get in that ass at halftime. And they're going to come out and, touchdown, goodbye A&M. And then all of a sudden, she's texting me throughout the night like, oh, my God, like we just intercepted it. We just did this. And I'm like, A&M might win. And then when A&M won, she was beside herself, as was Sean. And I thought to myself, oh, man. So I woke up at 7 a.m. to work out before the pregame show the next day. And I'm watching SportsCenter, and I'm catching up on, all the games and how they played out. And I couldn't believe Alabama lost that game. But then I was thinking about this. Alabama, in order to make the playoffs, is going to have to win out, right? They're 6th right now, but another loss will drop them a little bit more. They're going to have to win out in order to make the college football playoff.
And I don't think that you can make it in the college football playoff with 2 losses.
No. Though if there was a team that was going to do it,
Alabama.
it would be this Alabama team. But I was thinking about this, and I was like, for Alabama to make the playoff, they made it in 2018 and won the title when they didn't win the West. But they lost to Auburn. Auburn went to the championship game, lost to Georgia, and Alabama got in with 1 loss. Because they lost to A&M, I don't think there's a way for Alabama to avoid making the championship game with 1 loss. Like, Alabama doesn't want to win the West now. In a perfect world for Alabama, they would win out and somehow not make it to Atlanta. So then Georgia would beat A&M, and Alabama would be a 1-loss team regardless.
I don't think there's any way of that happening.
I don't think so, because A&M lost to Arkansas. So Alabama's going to have to beat them.
Arkansas has 2 losses.
And
Georgia and Ole Miss.
A&M lost. They have 2 losses too, right?
A&M lost to Mississippi State and
So
Arkansas.
They lost to Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
So Alabama has no way of running the table and not making it to Atlanta and having to play Georgia. So I think unless they beat Georgia, I think they're out.
It would be tough because the winner of the SEC championship is going to the college football playoff.
And if it's Georgia who loses,
they're going.
Yes,
because they're going to be a 1 loss in the SEC championship. But that would be technically 2 losses. If Alabama loses in the SEC championship, that's a regular season loss, and that's a loss in the SEC championship. I think that puts them at like 5th or 6th.
That's what I'm saying. The question would have to be no, because Ole Miss lost to Alabama. So what Alabama needed is they needed to lose to the 2nd best team in the West, and that team go to the championship and lose to Georgia.
They lose Alabama.
But
why would you not put that team in?
Because they
would
that
have
team
2
would have
losses.
2 losses. Like, it's not possible. So either they beat Georgia or they're out.
Whoa. And at
now if you're Kirby,
I think Georgia beats Alabama.
If you're Kirby, do you pull everything back and see Saban's best hand and then go from there? I vote no.
I don't think Kirby's pulling anything back.
I say if you got a shot to put Alabama out, take them out.
Take it.
Take them out. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
But it would be very interesting if Alabama does beat Georgia in the SEC championship to see where things would rank, where they would rank those teams, to see if it'd be interesting if there was an SEC championship rematch in the college football playoff. Let's say if they put Georgia 1, Alabama 4. I don't think they would, because Georgia would have a loss in their schedule.
What they would do is they'd drop them to 2 and 3 so that they
would avoid playing each other.
Yeah, or one would play 4. One would be 4 and one would be 2.
Okay.
Whichever way they want to make it that way.
They wouldn't have
so
to
that they
play each
won't
other
play
again.
each other. Kentucky beat LSU, and there were a lot of people that were like, oh, my God, Kentucky beat LSU. Kentucky's for real. I'm like,
no, LSU just sucks.
This isn't the week to be talking about Kentucky.
No.
Last week was the week to be talking about Kentucky. Tennessee, good first half against South Carolina. Bad second half against South Carolina. What'd you make of that?
I think it was more of like a bad third quarter. Because it was a bad third quarter. They gave up some points that they absolutely did not need to give up.
The fourth quarter was pretty boring.
Yeah, it was boring. But I think it did prove that Tennessee at Missouri was not a fluke. I mean, this team can put up some points now. And I understand that it was against Missouri and South Carolina, two of the worst teams in the East. But they can put up some points now. And it wasn't just a fluke. And I think that was kind of the momentum and the oomph that they needed going into Ole Miss. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for Tennessee to beat Ole Miss because Ole Miss can put up points like no other. And to your point, I haven't seen Tennessee play a complete fourth quarters yet. I've seen them play an outstanding first half and they start to trail off in the second half. So I think that's going to be incredibly difficult for them to beat Ole Miss, but it is going to be more of a ball game than I ever expected it to be going into this season.
Oh, this game on Saturday is a show-me-something game.
It's going to be an offensive shootout. I don't know what the over-under is set at, but I'm going to take the over.
It is a show-me-something game. Like, I need you to show me something in this game. I mean, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a great game. Like, I really do think – and I don't mean great game like it's going to come down to the wire. I mean great game like – I think it's going to be a great game to tell me if Tennessee, they can score points, but can they hang with the good West teams? Arkansas lost to Ole Miss on Saturday, and I did watch that game, and I felt better about Arkansas after watching that game, that it wasn't a fluke that they won some games and they got housed by Georgia. I mean, they very easily could have won that game against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And I think that, Sam Pittman is doing a good job, and I feel like Arkansas is a solid SEC West team after that. I think Kentucky's a solid East team. I think they'll get run by Georgia this weekend. But, I mean, my two biggest takeaways from the SEC weekend, I have three of them. I think Alabama I can't see, unless they beat Georgia, I can't see them making the playoff. I have no idea how you rank the West right now. I think Tennessee is going to be able to score points this year on maybe everybody, but will they be able to stop a good offensive team, which South Carolina is not? And then I think the third thing is Arkansas is a solid SEC West team.
Arkansas is very much so a solid team, and I don't think that Arkansas fans can look and be upset about their schedule because they lost to, they got housed by Georgia, but I think at this point, any team in America would get housed by Georgia. Lost to Ole Miss in a very, very close game, which if you would have looked at an Arkansas-Ole Miss game last year, 2 years ago, Arkansas wouldn't have even been in the conversation. That would have been a pathetic display of football, and those two teams have completely turned things around.
Do you think Alabama makes it to the playoff this year?
They have to beat Georgia in the SEC championship.
Do you think they will?
No.
Ian, do you think Alabama makes it to the college football playoff this year?
I'm still going to lean yes.
So you think they'll beat Georgia?
I think there's a possibility.
I'm going to lean with Ian. I'm not counting them out. I'm not counting Saban out.
It's hard to count
Florida, Alabama. Florida easily could have won that game.
You know what? That's the thing that bothers me the most. Because Saban got in that rear end, and they smoked Ole Miss because 2 weeks of Saban up their rears, and then for them to just go all the way back afterwards would be very concerning for me.
If this was the only hiccup, like the only game and they had blown out their other opponents like they normally do every year, I would say, yeah, of course they're still in it. That was just, one smudge on the resume. But that Florida game makes me a little bit concerned.
Let's get Trevor's reaction to the week that was, plus his thoughts on all the big games this upcoming week, because we got a lot of good games. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Trevor Matich, ESPN college football analyst, will join us coming up next. Silly Underdog picks are back. That's right. Everybody loves the opportunity to play Silly Underdog Picks. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win this week for a chance to win. Go to thegamenashville.com for more details and to play. Silly Underdog Picks is brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Trevor Matich next. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime.
Thursday night, Roman Yossi and the Predators begin their season on home ice against the Seattle Kraken. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's Best Sports Talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Saturday means college football, and Dos Equis Lager is perfect for celebrating your team's win over that rival school, whose name we will not mention. Dos Equis is a golden Pilsner-style beer that's perfect for enjoying with friends on game day. Grab a case for your next tailgate party, game day get-together, or alone time after a devastating loss. Dos Equis, a proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Ordered by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
The wait is over. The live event you've been waiting for is here. Zach Brown Band, live. The Comeback Tour, this Sunday night, Bridgestone Arena. The multi-platinum, Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band with special guests Devin Dawson and Ashlyn Kraft. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Zach Brown Band. Buy tickets at livenation.com.
Let me tell you, the most expensive mistake a homebuyer can make is not shopping for the best mortgage. Hey, I'm Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's a fact. Homebuyers who choose Loan Pronto save an average of $3,500. That is a ton of money for furniture or moving expenses. How do we do it? First, we don't charge our clients thousands in junk lender fees and closing costs, and our all-digital platform streamlines the process so you close faster and easier. Realtors love working with us, and we will work with your existing realtor, but don't make a decision about the loan until you call us. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and it pays to get a second opinion. Even if you've already started the process, we promise to beat your current offer, or we will pay you $1,000 for your time. So check us out at loanpronto.com or call us today at 615-499-5780. Lower rates, lower cost, and a stress-free experience. Again, loanpronto.com or call us at 615-499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Hockey season, can you believe it? Here we go. No better place to bet on the NHL than FanDuel Sportsbook. Joe Rexroad here to let you know. NHL parlays, perfect way to make every shot feel like a hat trick. You could turn a little bet into a big payday. And all season long, FanDuel is giving every customer NHL parlay insurance. You get up to $25 back if your parlay falls one leg short. If you don't have a FanDuel account, sign up now. Use promo code Joe102. Place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. FanDuel, always hooking you up. Great odds, exclusive offers. And when you win, you get paid in as little as 24 hours. So this season, make every moment more. Bet on the NHL with FanDuel Sportsbook. And remember, use promo code Joe102 so they know I sent you. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Parlay insurance max refund $25 per day. Risk-free bet for first online real money wager only. Refund issued as a now-withdrawable start credit expires in 7 days for parlay insurance and 14 days for the risk-free bet. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Tonight, it's the Nashville Predators season preview show, hosted by Darren McFarland, Pete Weber, and Hal Gill, getting you set for the upcoming season in Smashville. Tune in tonight at 6 on Nashville's Best Sports Talk, ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's Best Sports Talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, it is a Tuesday, wild college football weekend in the Southeastern Conference, and there's nobody better to bring in than Trevor Maddich, ESPN college football analyst. Trevor, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, I want to start with this, the question that we were just knocking out. We got a lot of great games to go over. You know, we got Kentucky and the way they're playing. We got Tennessee and the way that offense is humming. But I don't see a path for Alabama to the playoff that doesn't involve beating Georgia. And in the past, when they got in, when they had lost to Auburn in the regular season, it was good for Alabama that they didn't win the West, so they didn't pick up that second loss in Atlanta. Here's Alabama. They lose to A&M. 1, what did we make of it? And 2, are the Tide done?
Yeah, well, what we make of it is that Alabama uncharacteristically is up and down on defense. I mean, up and down. It is crazy. They haven't been really dominant this year against better quality competition. They've been okay, not dominant. until they played Ole Miss. They just manhandled Ole Miss. They were vicious physically against Ole Miss, and I thought, okay, they're back. Then they go to Texas A&M, and I get it that A&M has a good defense, but the offense of Alabama wasn't the problem. The offense of A&M has some good individual players, but they're missing a couple offensive linemen. They've got a backup quarterback who still had not found his way and his rhythm before the Alabama game. And Alabama's defense made that A&M offense look like the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs. It was unbelievable how often the Tide were out of position, missed assignments, poor execution, and you don't see that from them on such a regular basis in a single game. It was really weird. So now they're in the position that you said they're in, Jared, and that is they do have to beat Georgia. Well, assuming Georgia gets to the SEC championship game, let's just have the professional caveat. Of course, I believe they will. But
hey, Trevor, I got a secret for you. They will.
Okay, good. They will. Thank you.
Okay.
I feel better now, Jared. Thank you for that. I feel better. But assuming that happens, the thing is, if they play Georgia close and lose a tight one at the end on a 50-yard field goal to Georgia in the championship game, that gives them their second loss, and no two-loss team has ever made it into the playoff. And you've got to figure that the committee will look at the nature of their loss, where they look completely lost on defense against Texas A&M, and they won't make an exception here. So Alabama, I believe, is done unless they can beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. And the truth of it is, right now, the way they're playing, I don't know that they'll be close to Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you about that. I mean, I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama. That's why I think Alabama needed somebody in the West to be good enough to win the West, where they could have the one loss and not have to go. But A&M's already got multiple SEC losses. Trevor Matich is our guest. What's wrong with Alabama? Like, when you talk about inconsistent play with their defense, I'm like, is Nick Saban still their coach? Or do they still have all those five-star recruits? What's wrong with Bama, Trev?
You know, I think it really goes back to locker room leadership on the defensive side of the ball. They've been at their best when they've had the Rolando McClains, right? Those kinds of guys. John Allen, Deron Payne. Guys that took care of business in the locker room on the defensive side especially, that if ever there was a problem of a guy being, staying out late on a Thursday night, when he should be getting his rest and healing his body, or guys that aren't practicing with the kind of focus that they should, before that ever gets to the desk of Nick Saban, it's handled by those locker room alphas. And when they have struggled, it's because they haven't had those alphas. And right now, especially with Chris Allen out, with Will Anderson, banged up, I don't know that they've got that alpha. Henry To'o seems to be that guy. He should be that guy, but we're not seeing the effect on the field of that kind of leadership. And so I really believe that that's the big thing. And you can listen to Saban in his press conference. I know you enjoy doing this, Jared. It's kind of fun to kind of read between the lines of what he's really saying to his own team when he talks to the media, right?
Sure.
But before the Mercer game, he was complaining about his team not having a good week of practice, right? And that's Mercer, FCS. And then he did that a couple more times. And it made me think the consistency of his complaining about the nature of the focus in practice. It made me think that, maybe he's not just trying to light a fire under him to light a fire. Maybe he is exactly right. And this team doesn't have the kind of focus that teams in the past have had, because they play like sometimes they practice well and some weeks they don't.
To your point about that, Trevor Matich is our guest. To your point about that, I listened to Saban in the press conference after the game on Saturday night, and he seemed like he wasn't surprised at all by what happened. And I say, you know what? That's Saban was trying to tell us all those times that he was complaining that he knew this was going to happen. Trevor Matich is our guest. The Vols offense the last 2 weeks against Missouri and South Carolina is just humming. I mean, whether it's Velus Jones, whether it's Tyon Evans, it doesn't matter. Hendon Hooker looks like a much better player than what I think we were led to believe when he didn't win the job out of camp. They play Ole Miss this weekend. We'll get into the Ole Miss game in a little bit. But, Trevor, you liking what you're seeing out of Josh Heupel on offense at least?
Absolutely. I mean, you saw the seeds of it early in the season when they were up and down and struggling. What Heupel wants to do when things are at their best, is run a really fast tempo and hit the medium to deep passes on a regular basis. And there are lots of opportunities for that. And what we saw is the tempo kind of speed up as each game went into the next. But we also saw receivers that were open in those 15 to 20-yard zones and then deeper down the field that the quarterbacks just missed, in this case, mostly Joe Milton, right? And we don't know. I don't want to point the finger at Joe Milton because sometimes you miss a throw because the receiver's not exactly in the right spot. And part of that is, learning the new offense and everybody getting onto the same page. But what's happened here is all those things that were so close in September have now snapped into place. And they're starting to hit those long passes, which opens up the running game. Hendon Hooker, I think, is a shiftier runner than Joe Milton. They're both fast, but Hooker is shiftier, and so he causes different kinds of problems for defenses when he pulls the ball down and takes off. And so what we're seeing now is just the beginning of what this offense could be. Because you and I talked about it before the season started as we were kind of previewing Tennessee, that they've got some guys that can run and catch. They've got some good running backs, even though they had Eric Gray and others transfer out of there. The offensive line should be good enough. The question is, how soon will they come together and have chemistry in this new system? And the last 2 weeks we started to see it. It's been 5 years since they've scored 40 points or over 40 points in consecutive SEC games. And all of a sudden, here they are 5 years later. They just did it.
Trev, you brought up before the start of the season when I said, what can really be accomplished with the Vols? And you said that if Josh Heupel can get an offense that recruits will buy into, that'll be a big deal. They got a big game against Ole Miss this weekend. But do you think that the offense you've seen the last 2 weeks is something that Heupel can legitimately sell to recruits?
Absolutely. Because they can't all go to Alabama. They can't all go to Georgia. And so now you've got that next tier that is recruiting, still very, very, very good players. And who are they going to go to? Are they going to go to Florida, to Missouri, to Texas A&M? Well, right now, Tennessee seems to be the hot flavor of the moment. And so I think recruits can buy into it, and they'll have a chance against Ole Miss to further that. Ole Miss is a really good team, and they're a much more mature offense than Tennessee's is right now from a standpoint of chemistry. And so I think that Ole Miss will score plenty of points, and for Tennessee to win, they'll have to open the gates and try to keep up in the track meet. And if they're able to do that, win or lose, it'll just further the impression of this Josh Heupel offense as something that guys that can throw and catch and run, that they want to be a part of, because they can put up big numbers. Now, one thing about Ole Miss is that they just played their second consecutive brutally physical game. Alabama just beat them into the mud. And then Arkansas is still one of the more physical teams in the country, and Ole Miss pulled it out at the end in miraculous fashion, but they still had to play that game and still got beat up. And it'll be interesting to see how their week of practice was, having been physically attrited in the last 2 weeks, and how sharp they are coming into this Tennessee game.
Trevor Maddich is our guest, ESPN college football analyst. Caroline was on the field when the LSU Tigers won the national title game 2 years ago with her ESPN credential. Now she's ready to fire Ed Orgeron as her coach at LSU. Trevor, what did you make of the Kentucky blowout of LSU? Did it say more about LSU or Kentucky?
I think it says more about LSU right now. Kentucky played really well, but they had 330 yards rushing against LSU. 330 yards rushing against LSU. And when I watched the tape of that, because I'm doing a couple of different breakdowns, one of them tonight on the pregame show of the Appalachia State game, and then another one on Thursday on SportsCenter, about what Kentucky needs to do to beat Georgia, right? And in watching that LSU game in some detail, the LSU defense made me sad. They made me sad because they looked an awful lot like Florida State did a few years ago, when, they'd play hard sometimes and sometimes they wouldn't play hard. They looked dispirited. They looked disanimated. And it made me sad. There were so many plays when Kentucky just physically whipped the LSU Tiger, in front of them. And that shouldn't happen. It should be a fair fight at that level. And if Kentucky wins the fight, they win the fight. But 330 yards rushing. Kentucky didn't even hardly try to throw the ball. They only threw it 17 times, rushed it 45, right? And LSU never had an answer. And so why that's going on, I'm not sure, but it doesn't look good for Ed Orgeron in the way he's getting his team focused. I will say this, that I'm not calling for Orgeron to be fired. I like him. I like him as a coach. I love him as a coach of LSU. But to fire him right now, especially if it were mid-season like some people are calling for, would be firing one of their own in the deepest way. When he was hired, everybody talked about how he looks and sounds like South Louisiana, right? And he grew up south of New Orleans. I didn't think there was anything south of New Orleans except for the Gulf of Mexico. It turns out there is, and that's where he's from, right? And so if they are going to part with him, I think it would be not during the season, and I think it would be somehow kicking him upstairs to be an ambassador for LSU or something, because it would just be ugly beyond belief if they just kicked him to the curb. I'd hate to see that.
Would you hate to see that?
I
would.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a heart.
Oh.
I have a heart.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure there. When we kicked Bobby Petrino to the curb, Trev, I didn't have any problems with that. I don't know if anybody else had any problems with kicking Bobby Petrino to the curb, but I didn't have a problem with that. Trevor Maddich, ESPN college football analyst, is our guest. Coming up next, we got Tennessee Ole Miss. We got Georgia, Kentucky. Trevor said that he's going to go on SportsCenter and talk about how Kentucky can win. So I am very interested to hear what Trev has to say. We got a lot of SEC plus in the playoff. Oklahoma 4 overall in the AP. Get out of here. We'll get his thoughts on that as well. Stillman and Company. Trevor Maddich, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's the Monday Night Giveaway. Be caller number 3 right now at 615-737-1025, and you'll qualify to win a pair of tickets to see Monday Night Football in Nashville on October 18th. Keep listening for your next chance to qualify
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Another warm afternoon turning into a comfortable night as temperatures drop back into the mid-60s for early Wednesday morning. Look for patchy morning fog to burn off by the afternoon. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
The St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series Nashville returns to the Music City, November 18th through 20th. You don't have to be a runner to enjoy the excitement of Nashville's premier downtown race. Come help your community as well as the thousands of runners by volunteering. With over 1,000 positions available, there's a spot for everyone. Head to NashvilleSports.com for more information and get a free t-shirt when you register to volunteer. We'll see you there.
The 102.5 The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the game at 615-737-1025.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Big week of college football ahead. The Vols welcome back Lane Kiffin as head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. That game on Saturday. Trevor Maddich is with us, ESPN college football analyst, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. All right, Trev, I'm not ready to make my official prediction yet on UT and Ole Miss. And I mean, Ole Miss can score. We know that. I was impressed with what they did against Louisville. I was not impressed with what they did against Alabama. I thought the Arkansas game was a fun game. But I'm going to lay it out here to you. How much of a chance do the Vols have to beat Ole Miss, and how difficult is it going to be for them to beat Ole Miss?
I think it's a coin flip, truthfully. I think Ole Miss is favored by about three points. But ESPN's FPI, Football Power Index, they have Tennessee with a 54% chance to win. And the real issue will be which defense can get one or two more stops. The thing about Ole Miss coming into this season is that last year their defense was just really heinous, just really bad. This year, everybody came back. And the idea was that if they could improve from heinous to decent, it would make all the difference in the world. And they have gotten better. But they couldn't stop an outstanding offense in Alabama and a good offense in Arkansas in successive weeks. And the way Tennessee's offense is playing, this looks to me like a team like a game that will be all about who can hold serve once or twice on defense. I think the edge has to go to Tennessee on that one because of the way this Tennessee defense is playing.
What do you make of the fact that while Tennessee has played well, Missouri and South Carolina, that's not the quality of opponent that we really feel as a necessary, you got to beat them, but not the caliber of win that would get us excited. Ole Miss offers that. How big of a win would it be for Josh Heupel?
It would be a massive win because you are right. Especially on offense, South Carolina is truly unfortunate. I mean, in watching them on tape, their offensive line, they're doing the best they can. They're big guys. They can't move at all. I mean, can't move at all. And Missouri is, they've got issues. They just barely beat North Texas last week. North Texas scored 35 points on them, right? So you are right that those were not the tests that they're going to have going forward, Tennessee. This will be that kind of a test because the defense of Ole Miss is definitely better than those other two, but the offense is going to require pedal to the metal the entire time. And, when you look at the tests that they've had, Florida was a good test, but they lost that one 38-14, right? Bowling Green, they went ahead and whipped. And that's the thing, though, I think that's interesting. Because when you play teams that you're supposed to whip, do you whip those teams? And they whipped Bowling Green, and they whipped Mizzou, and they whipped South Carolina. And so even though those teams aren't very good, and then they beat an FCS school too, even though those teams aren't very good, they did what good teams are supposed to do to subpar opponents. And that in itself is an improvement for the Volunteers.
How big in recruiting would it be if Josh Heupel goes out and outscores Lane Kiffin? Because everybody considers Lane Kiffin to be a great offensive guru. Heupel has a reputation, but it's not cemented like Lane's is. So how big would it be if Heupel goes out there and beats him 52-50?
It is. They're recruiting the same guys, aren't they? And so that would be something they'll talk about in recruiting. And that's something that Lane Kiffin would have to overcome. He'll be able to say, yeah, come to Ole Miss. You'll play in the best offense in the SEC. And all of a sudden, Heupel can say, no. We're not only the best offense in the SEC, we proved it on the field head-to-head. right? And so it's not just about bragging rights. It's not just about getting the win. These guys recruit largely the same tier of high school recruits. And as a matter of fact, Ole Miss, a little bit higher tier when it comes to what they get on offense than what Tennessee has been able to get overall. And so this would help to elevate Tennessee's recruiting if they're able to pull off a win, especially if it's a high-scoring game.
Trev, you said that you'll be doing a breakdown for SportsCenter on Thursday about how Kentucky can beat Georgia. I'll be honest with you, and I think Mark Stoops has done a great job, and I think Kentucky's a good team. I don't think Kentucky can beat Georgia, so lay it out for me how you think they may be able to do so.
Well, to actually do it, I think alien abduction would be the most likely route, where a spacecraft would come down from orbit and abduct the entire Georgia football team. But they do have a chance, right? And everybody's got a chance. So what does Kentucky need to do in order for that chance to turn into a victory? It's a slim chance. They would have to beat a team that is more talented than they are top to bottom. So what do? Well, on offense, first thing you need to do is play one-on-one instead of 11-on-11. And Kentucky has some really good players on the perimeter. And there was one play against Florida that the wide receiver motioned out to the right, and only one guy went out with him, out wide, and gave him about a 10-yard cushion. And the play called was a run to the left. But Will Levis watched that defender go out there. Nobody else went out to help him. No safety rotated over the top. And so he just took the snap under center and threw it right out to the receiver. And the receiver ended up gaining about 10, 15 yards just because it was easy pitch and catch. And they took what was there. They took the easy yards. Kentucky has it in their system to exploit those kinds of things, and they'll need to take any yards that are easy because most yards will not be easy against this defense. On defense, they need to go after the ball. And, there will be opportunities to swat that ball out. And Kentucky's very, very good at that, where when they see the ball not being secured real well, they go right after it. And they've gotten it out a few times because they've done that. They need to do it against Georgia because they've got to give their offense a short field because they can't count on the offense sustaining long drives against this Georgia defense. So they're on special teams. They need to win there, but they need to win with some big plays. You look at the Florida game. They blocked a Florida field goal and returned it for a touchdown. That turned the game around. And really, it up till that point 2 weeks ago was the biggest play in the SEC season because it made it so that Florida needed Kentucky to lose 3 conference games in order for Florida to even have a chance to get to the SEC championship game because Kentucky beat them that day, and that play was the pivotal moment. How did they do it? They were really smart. There was they rushed over the left guard protecting the field goal. They put 2 guys on him, one on each shoulder. The guard thought that he was going to have to fire out because 2 guys were going to try to drive him back. But what happened was both guys did a little swim move, and they didn't engage with him physically at all. They made him miss, basically. He fired out into the air and fell down on his hands and knees. That opened a big gash in the middle of the protection, and that's where they went through to block that field goal. That was outstanding coaching in looking at how that particular Florida field goal protector responded to having 2 guys on him that are about to drive him back. And so they fooled him, basically. These are the kinds of things that they'll need to do against Georgia in order to have a chance.
Trevor Maddich with us, ESPN college football analyst. Trev, Oklahoma is 4th in the AP poll, which I think is just ridiculous. But with Alabama dropping, who are the 4 best teams in the country right now?
Well, so you think Oklahoma should be higher than that, huh?
I think Oklahoma stinks.
I was kidding you. I think the number 1 team is Georgia, of course. In my power rankings at number 2, I have Ohio State. And then 3, I have Cincinnati. 4, I have Iowa. The reason I've got Ohio State up there with 1 loss at number 2 is that in September, their struggles were missed assignments and mental errors on defense. They had a bunch of new starters and a bunch of young guys that had to play for injured starters, and there was all kinds of issues with missed assignments. Now it looks like they're rounding into a better place where they're not making those mistakes, and you can see their talent on defense, combined with an offense that's the number 1 offense in all of college football in terms of yards per game. So the offense is absolutely lights out. The defense is rounding into shape, and I think now, from a power ranking standpoint, Ohio State's the second best team in the country.
Trevor, how depressed should I be by the fact that the change Ohio State made was demoting Kerry Coombs, their defensive coordinator, a Vrabel coach, here with the Titans and the defensive coaching staff, when a Vrabel coach, Shane Bowen, who was with him at Ohio State, is exactly what I'm worried about right now with the Titans defense, and the fact that Vrabel can't manage the coaching staff is something that it bothers me. How worried should I be?
Well, I wouldn't be worried. Kerry Coombs is handling this like a pro, and it's not like it was all his fault. He had a ton of new starters.
Seems like it was his fault, though.
No, because he had so many new guys. And so you had a whole bunch of guys playing offenses that are good at exploiting those kinds of new guys. And then he had injuries to deal with. And so the fact that they're doing better now, I think, is more that those guys have had time to learn than it is that there's a different defensive mind calling defensive plays for Ohio State. So I wouldn't worry about that. And I don't know, do the Titans have any healthy receivers left at all?
A.J. Brown's healthy right now.
Oh, okay. Well, gee, that's good because it's the defense's fault when the offense can't move the ball because they've got no receivers, right?
There's some truth there. Trevor Matich, ESPN college football analyst. Trev, appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jared.
Yep, Trevor Matich joining us, as he always does, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. I mean, I think Trevor's a very pro-coach guy. Ian, you'll back me up on that one.
Sorry, I was on the phone with Trevor there. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. I just said Trevor's just a very pro-coach guy.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably fair.
But I think it's pretty obvious and I haven't watched Ohio State, but he's ranking them second.
I don't think they're the second best team in the country. And to be fair, I don't follow Ohio State football all that closely, but I have to think that there are several other teams that are better than Ohio State.
But I'm worried that Kerry Coombs, defensive coordinator, got demoted, and now they're better.
And now they figured out what the problem was.
And he's a Vrabel coach.
That's a little scary.
You see what I'm saying?
That's a little scary.
Ian, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because what's our biggest issue with Vrabel right now? The coaching
the
staff.
Defensive coordinator.
Oh, goodness gracious. Coming up next, new news on the John Gruden front. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game, and of course, we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans?
He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to.
Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Hahn from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching.
They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with Mizuno irons and wedges. The JPX 921 Hot Metal Pro, Tour, and Forged irons offer Mizuno's fastest ball speeds ever. And the new T22 wedges feature 4 different sole grinds for varying techniques and conditions. Come in and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Richard Mosqueda spent 3 months shopping for a diamond and ended up buying one from a New York company online.
I looked online forever. I looked everywhere, and I finally found a great deal.
Well, he thought it was a great deal until he took the stone over to Genesis Diamonds to compare it with a Genesis stone.
And then I brought it here, and they gave me a better price and a better quality. Quality was so much better, and the price was so much better. You couldn't beat their price here.
So Richard boxed up the online diamond, got his money back, and bought the Genesis diamond. Not only did he get a better deal and a better diamond, he got lifetime service at no charge.
To me, there's a value to having a local place that says that we'll take care of everything. We'll clean your ring, we'll size it, and online you can't do that. And on top of that, they had to get the guarantees here and the warranties here were unbelievable.
Genesis Diamonds, where Nashville gets engaged.
Genesis is the best. They'll work with you, the customer service is unbelievable, and you can't beat the price.
Voted year after year as the best place in Nashville to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
You don't need to go anywhere else, just go to Genesis.
Genesis Diamonds.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Breaking news, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have removed John Gruden from the Ring of Honor. I didn't even know you could do that.
Well, if you can put him in, you can take him out.
But, like, the Heisman Trophy hasn't yanked it from O.J. Simpson.
It's yanked it from Reggie Bush.
Different.
How?
Well, O.J. killed people.
Yes.
Reggie, and he still has his Heisman. And Reggie technically, whether or not you want to, however you feel about it, technically Reggie cheated, so they said that it was invalid. So the NCAA
So he's breaking the rules worse than murder?
According to the Heisman people, that it is not grounds.
I guess he was not convicted.
To take OJ's trophy away from him. So OJ's got his Heisman.
Murderer can keep it. Buyer of cars for their mom. Sorry. Get your own car.
At least I understand where they're coming from. The Heisman Trophy people.
I mean, I get it.
If everything
it's
you
just
did,
like when you break it down, it feels a little twisted.
If everything you did doesn't count, which is what the NCAA says about Reggie, the la, it didn't happen, then your Heisman didn't happen. And if your Heisman didn't happen, give it back. OJ.
And if the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
And it didn't. He got acquitted. Keeps his Heisman. I mean, I'm not for it, but I'm just saying.
I mean, he was not charged.
I'm just saying.
We do not get in trouble for things that we were not convicted of.
And OJ was not convicted. But anywho, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers say in a statement, quote, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have advocated for purposeful change in the areas of race relations, gender equality, diversity, and inclusion for many years. While we acknowledge John Gruden's contributions on the field, his actions go against our core values as an organization. Therefore, he will no longer continue to be a member of the Buccaneers Ring of Honor. Do you have any problem with that?
Let me preface this with, I do have a problem with what John Gruden said in those emails, and I do think that he and the Raiders made the correct decision in removing his spot as Raiders head coach.
I don't think they had a choice, did they? Like, would those players have practiced tomorrow if John Gruden showed up?
I would have a hard time believing that they would. But I think removing John Gruden from the Ring of Honor feels a bit reactive. A bit overreactive, in my opinion. I don't condone what John Gruden said. His words were awful and discriminatory, and I think what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did was a little bit far. A little bit too far.
But you didn't like what he did.
Correct.
And the Buccaneers probably didn't like what he did.
Correct.
So what are the Buccaneers supposed to do? Just ignore it and say, well, John was a great coach for us, so, even though he said that, the commissioner was an anti-football you-know-what, and he said all these things about black people and gay people and women officials and everything else, just let him go. Just, he is what he is, and he was a great Buck, so leave it up there.
It feels like it is a move, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a move that is so decisive. Like, it's done. He's erased from our history books. And I don't know if that's necessarily fair.
I'm going to explain to you how I think the NFL tried to avoid this.
Mm-hmm.
In the New York Times article, quote, the league said last week that it shared emails with the Raiders in which Gruden made derogatory comments. Gruden told ESPN on Sunday that the league was reviewing emails in which he criticized Goodell and explained that he had been upset about the team owner's lockout of the players in 2011 when some of the emails were written. Gruden said in the interview that he had used an expletive to refer to Goodell and that he did so because he disapproved of Goodell's emphasis on safety, which he believes was scaring parents into steering their sons away from football. The NFL tried after the DeMaurice Smith thing, which was the first thing that came out Friday. You think they had all the emails at once, or do you think they just saw the DeMaurice Smith email on Friday, and that was the first one that just happened to get leaked?
I kind of think they had all of them.
I think they went to him and said, John, we got the goods. Hang it up. And he said no. And he coached on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And the league said, okay, we have the goods. He won't leave. They dropped the bomb. Once they dropped the bomb, he could never go back into that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I think the league tried to get this to be as small of a story as possible.
Mm-hmm. A soft rollout.
A soft rollout on the DeMaurice Smith issue.
Which was inexcusable
and
disgusting
racist.
What he said.
Yeah, I mean, it was legitimately racist.
I don't know if every organization in the league would necessarily consider that a fireable offense, but disgusting nonetheless.
And then once he wouldn't do it, once he didn't or the Raiders wouldn't or whatever, the league pushed a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
As I was reading through these emails about things that Gruden wrote about, the people in the emails, and I'm going to read from the New York Times article, some of the emails between Gruden and Bruce Allen, who was the general manager in Tampa, later Washington, where Gruden was sending these emails.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the emails between Gruden and Allen also included businessmen friends. Ed Drosty, the co-founder of Hooters, Jim McVeigh, an executive who has run the Outback Bowl annually held in Tampa, Florida, Nick Rader, the founder of PDQ Restaurants, a Tampa-based fried chicken franchise. The exchanges began in early 2010 while Gruden was an analyst for Monday Night Football. Gruden and Allen are longtime friends and colleagues. Allen was a senior advisor with the Raiders when he worked with Gruden, who was head coach of the team from 1999 to 2001. Gruden became the head coach in Tampa in 2002. Allen became the general manager there in 2004. Allen and Gruden both left in 2008. While Gruden moved on to ESPN, Allen went to Washington in 2010. But in there, privately, according to the New York Times, Allen and Gruden appeared to have few boundaries in expressing homophobic and transphobic language. In one email from 2015 that includes Drosty, McVeigh, and others, Gruden crudely asked Allen to tell Brian Glazer, whose family owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Gruden coached until 2008, to perform oral sex on him, which basically was kind of the way of saying, tell him that he can blank my blank.
Yes.
Allen said Glazer would, quote, take you up on that offer.
Oh.
That's why Gruden's out of the Ring of Honor.
Oh.
That's why Gruden's out of the Ring of Honor. This is the thing people got to understand.
That was some information that I did not have.
This is something people have got to understand about how all this works. First of all, John Gruden is not coaching in the NFL right now because the NFL nuked his career.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL did it. The NFL gave him a chance to get out of it and to be able to go back to TV, because if it was just the DeMaurice Smith thing, which was bad.
It was bad.
But if it was just the DeMaurice Smith thing.
It's not career ruining.
I could see 2 years off back to TV.
Mm-hmm.
So the NFL gave a chance. Then the Raiders or Gruden or whatever said no, coached on Sunday. The league nuked him. which is exactly what they did. And I'm fine with it, by the way, because if you give somebody the opportunity, that's like saying, hey, we're going to prosecute if you don't agree to this plea deal. You don't agree to the plea deal, double murder. There you go.
You can either retire or we're going to fire you.
Yes. And Gruden could never go back into that locker room after they nuked him. But I think what led to this, I brought this up earlier, all the things he said about Goodell. I think Goodell saw the emails. I said, get him out of here. That's what I think Goodell did, is he saw the emails about how much Gruden was talking and the way Gruden was talking about the way they're trying to take the game. And Goodell saw the emails. Because think about this. If you're running an investigation for the NFL, you've got 650,000 emails. I know you're not reading 650,000 emails. Mm-hmm. So instead of reading 650,000 emails, you're just going to kind of the main players. And you see Bruce Allen, team president, at the forefront of this Washington investigation. So you're going to see who he's talking with, who he's dealing with. You see John Gruden. You're going to read those emails. I know I would. And they see those emails. You
can very easily search for buzzwords.
Certainly. But especially when it comes to big names and you see the name.
Of course.
So now I'm reading the emails and I'm like, whoa. Well, I'm running this investigation for the NFL. And he's saying all this stuff in private about the NFL commissioner. Wouldn't you print that off and take that right to Goodell and say, hey, here's what he's saying about you?
Yeah.
And I think that's when Goodell said, okay. Because I think it was this summer when they wrapped up the investigation. I think they put a plan in motion. And I think Goodell took it personally. And I don't think he just took the things he said about Goodell personally. I think he took all the things he said about the direction of the game personally. Where the NFL has embraced, end racism. Mm-hmm. And it takes all of us. And social justice reform and things like that. Where the NFL has taken a side and Gruden's very clearly on the other side. And so it's like, we feel this way about player safety. We feel this way about female officials. We feel this way about inclusion. We feel this way about gay players on your team. And you're going in the opposite direction. So I take offense to that. Plus what you said about me, get him out of here. Because Gruden would never walk up to Goodell and say that.
No.
Because if you did, Goodell would say, get him out of here.
And if Goodell hadn't said, get him out of here, and it would have, these emails were bound to come out sooner or later.
See, I'm not sure they do.
But if it would
have. There's going to be no emails that come out from this Washington investigation about Daniel Snyder.
Why not? Because the NFL doesn't want them to come out?
Because the NFL doesn't want them.
Well, if it would have come out, let's say hypothetically, if it would have come out, these emails would have come out, and it would have come out that Roger Goodell knew about them and didn't do anything about it, that would have been Goodell's job as well.
Yeah, I see. I don't think they worry about that.
But how hypocritical does it look?
I don't think they worry about that.
End racism in the end zones and have helmets that say it takes all of us. And Roger Goodell knew about blatantly racist, sexist, homophobic things that one of the 32 NFL head coaches were saying in an email, and he didn't do anything about it?
So I'm not a big believer in all the other people do this stuff too kind of talk. You don't think they've seen emails in Washington that were...
I'm sure they have seen incredibly damning evidence.
They had their investigation report done orally. Because they don't want a record of it. Mm-hmm. So I think there's protection going on there. So I think Goodell took it personally. And Goodell said, get him out of here. And so then when they nuked it and they put that all out there, I think Gruden, I think that the Glazer family saw what he said about Brian Glazer, and they had the exact same response as Goodell. Get him out of here. So it's easy. You can make this about, hey, this is about, gender equality and the values that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hold, and this is why but really, you went after the owner. Mm-hmm. And once you go after the owner,
pissed off the wrong person.
Get him out.
Mm-hmm.
That's, and I was thinking about this the other day. Floyd and I had talked 5 billion times, right? Mm-hmm. 5 billion. And if you really wanted to get something out of him, and you all know how hard it was for me sometimes to get stuff out of him, if you really wanted to get something out of him, get him tired. Because if he was tired, like on a long road trip or something, he started telling
He let his guard down.
But he never threw Bud Adams under the bus. Never threw him under the bus. Most people had a pretty good sense of what Bud Adams did well, didn't. Never threw Bud Adams under the bus. And I think there's a reason for that. Never threw Robert Kraft under the bus. Never threw Bill Belichick under the bus. In private. I can't believe that he thought that every move that Bill Belichick made was a good move when they were in New England together. But would never throw him under the bus. And this is why. Because it's only private until it becomes not private.
Mm-hmm.
And John Gruden's out of the Bucs Ring of Honor because he talked bad about the owner. And I think, if you owned the team and you had paid this man millions and millions of dollars and he was saying that about you, would you kick him out of your Ring of Honor?
Probably.
There you go.
So you didn't know that part of the story.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Now do you think it's too far?
No.
So now you think it's okay because they went after the owner.
Well, I understand the reasoning
I think you're
behind
empathizing with the owner of the Buccaneers.
Yes, I understand the reasoning behind it.
I mean, it's bad. Like, it's bad.
Do you think that Gruden never gets another job again?
I think
either
he'll get
coaching or
college.
TV?
I think he'll get a college job.
You
And
think?
like one of these like evangelical, like Liberty, like one of those kind of schools.
Where all your
second
your
chance.
you freeze, last chance
Yeah.
you. Burner phones go
I-
to Liberty.
But you have to ask the question if you're Gruden, and I don't know the kind of guy Gruden is, right? Does he want to coach? He got offered to coach like every day that he wasn't coaching. He got offered to coach, and he turned it down until someone offered him $100 million.
And I think that's the caveat there, is if he's not offered top of the line money, which the schools that would even be interested in entertaining the thought of John Gruden wouldn't be able to afford.
615-737-1025. We'll get to your reaction. John Gruden kicked out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor. What do you think of that? We'll get to your Gruden thoughts. We'll also get to your Titans thoughts, Colts thoughts as well. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. Let me tell all the fine folks out there something that I would assume is pretty important. And, I'm a pretty important kind of guy, so those things are important to me. Oh, yeah.
VIP?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever floats your boat.
Super important stuff coming from a super important person.
There-
I'm intrigued.
Here you go. Don't miss the pregame show live from Rock Bottom Brewery this Monday, downtown on Broadway. The pregame show features Mark Howard, former Titans receiver Chris Sanders, and yours truly. Join us from 5 to 7 at the Rock Bottom Brewery on Broadway prior to the Titans and the Bills. The pregame show brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
In 2 days. Nashville Predators hockey returns.
Now the real work starts, and we want to build on our momentum we have and keep improving every day.
Your exclusive home for every second of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
It's football season and Social Furniture has the best lifetime guarantee motion furniture on sale now. Their sofas with recliners are push-button electric and wall-away with all colors to choose from for your comfort. Sectionals from $9.99, recliners from $3.99. Sectionals with Chase Lounge and all-electric recliners from $19.99. Social Furniture will have you football ready with all furniture that are plus leather, microfiber, and Social Furniture has same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social.
Sail on into Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
If you are experiencing persistent shoulder pain that may be the result of overuse or an injury such as a rotator cuff tear or tendonitis, the world-class orthopedic team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics will give you the appropriate medical attention to prevent any additional damage to the shoulder. Chronic pain or a permanent injury may occur without proper treatment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you work and live. Visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Moments ago, the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden officially parted ways. Earlier this evening, the New York Times uncovered a trail of emails dating back 7 years in which John Gruden had a clean sweep of offending NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, women, gays, minorities, all sorts of people. A short time ago, the Raiders owner Mark Davis arrived at the team's training facility, found Gruden, the two men met, and John Gruden no longer is the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Steve.
No longer is a member of the Ring of Honor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
Hey, make of it what you will. Stephen A. Smith reacted today to John Gruden's firing from the Raiders. Here's what Stephen A. had to say.
To say that this is stunning doesn't even begin to describe how we all should feel right now. A couple of things. Number one, yesterday, you weren't here. I was of the mindset that John Gruden shouldn't be fired, shouldn't be suspended, because it was one email from 2011. And then the next thing you know, this avalanche arrived last night. And you learned that it wasn't one email, but many. You learned it wasn't one email that happened in 2011. It was emails that started in like 2010 all the way to 2011, all the way to 2018. And let's get into the particulars, because before I even say all of that, let me say this. John Gruden's career is over. It's over. There's certain things that we are the land of second chances. People make mistakes all the time, and we get all of that. But I cannot imagine even a white male with influence and connections and some degree of power that can overcome what the New York Times reported and what we all now know.
I got to say this. I think Stephen A's onto something. And that is that, remember what I told you about how the NFL was trying to push Gruden out and, hey, we're not going to just unload everything on you. I think the NFL tried that with the DeMaurice Smith thing, where had he been fired over what he said about DeMaurice Smith's lips, which
we never
really
would have known about this other stuff.
I mean, that looks like, on the scale of things, like a solo shot in the third inning compared to the 9-run seventh with a grand slam that the New York Times dropped on him yesterday.
Yes.
The NFL tried. And you know what I was thinking about during the break and listening to Stephen A. right there? When they put out the DeMaurice Smith thing, shouldn't Gruden know right then and there? Oh,
there's a storm
They got it.
coming.
They got all the goods. They got all of it. And he probably thought they didn't.
I feel like there may have been a little bit of sense of invincibility there, almost.
For Gruden?
Yeah. I think he felt like he had a little bit of sense of invincibility.
And
like, that's all they know. And
here's the other crazy part, too. I don't think he's that good of a coach, and I don't think the NFL's going to miss him. I think our lives as football fans are going to go on just fine without John Gruden coaching. If Tom Brady leaves the NFL today, it's going to change how much we enjoy the NFL.
It's going to take a hit.
I don't think that John Gruden was that good of a coach. Not that I think it matters in this sense of the discussion, but I don't think John Gruden was ever that good of a coach. And so I don't think the NFL is going to miss him, and I think he's done in the NFL, and I think the NFL gave him a chance to exit gracefully. He didn't take it, and they nuked him. And they went to two reputable places, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. They didn't go to any news networks where they'd be like, oh, that's fake news. That's
the National Enquirer.
They did not go there. It should be noted, and I read a book by Michael Bender, who works for the Wall Street Journal, who covered the Trump camp, or the presidency or whatever.
Yeah.
When the Trump people wanted to release a story about Hunter Biden, they went to the Wall Street Journal first, and the Wall Street Journal was like, okay, we need to work on this story, but they couldn't just run it and they wanted it to go to the Wall Street Journal because if it came out of the Wall Street Journal, people would believe it. It's like if you put something on MSNBC or Fox News, like people, half the people are going to believe it, but half the other people aren't going to believe it. But if you put it on the Wall Street Journal, people are going to believe the Wall Street Journal. Where'd the NFL go first? Wall Street Journal. Where'd they go second? New York Times. Like the NFL, this was very strategic by the NFL and how they operated this. Let's go to your phones because I promise. 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Ron texts in and says, USC wants an NFL coach, so I bet Gruden gets that job. Maybe not this year or next, but he will be the head coach of USC. Just watch.
I don't think you can do that.
I think that would be incredibly difficult for USC to do that.
I don't think, how can you look at those parents? And this is Los Angeles. Like, we're talking about a guy who, like, the homophobic stuff, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what's crazy is, like, when I was a kid, like, in middle school and stuff, in, like, the early 2000s, the usage of that word that you do not use was a lot different than it is today. I mean, right now, that word
that is a no word.
That is as bad as
use that word.
The N-word. I mean, like, I shouldn't say as bad, like as if there's like a pecking order. But to me, like, those are just absolute
they're words
no-nos.
that should not be in your vocabulary.
You never use them. I read Eminem's book one time, which is an odd book to read. I think people can now tell.
Like it's a roller coaster.
I read a lot of books, but I read Eminem's book.
Are they leather bound?
No, this one was like $35 though. Like, I read Eminem's autobiography where he talked about how everybody was saying that he was homophobic and everything else, and he was like, well, when I use that word, I really mean, something else. And I don't mean that I'm attacking gay people. And I'm like,
then say something else.
I'm like, Slim, like, that's what the word means.
Are you on a first name basis?
Yes.
Shady, Slim?
I'm like, Slim, that's what the word means.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Like, and I'm reading this in this book, and I understood what he was saying, but still I was like, that's not what that word means. And so, I mean, he is not coaching in Los Angeles. Pete is up next here on Stillman and Company. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Pete. Peter.
Does the NFL office even listen to a Dr. Dre, Snoop, or Eminem record to have these people play at halftime? Isn't that a little hypocritical?
What do you mean? How's it hypocritical?
Well, they're going to have if they want to promote the whole, against the homophobic, all that stuff, they're going to have these people play at the Super Bowl halftime show. To me, it just seems a little two-faced.
I mean, I would say this, that music is usually edited, and when they play at the stadiums, it's edited.
They're not going to use those words.
They usually make sure of those things ahead of time. Thank you, Pete. I mean, first of all, the NFL is not in charge of Dr. Dre. And on top of it, I think if you have any sense of reality, you know the difference. And Eminem, to Eminem's point, when Eminem was really hearing it in the early 2000s from the gay rights groups and things like that, he reached out to Elton John. And they performed together at the Grammys. And it was important to Eminem that they performed together at the Grammys. And, I mean, like, Eminem's a different guy now than he was then, but I'm not saying that it was okay and whatever. But the NFL's not in charge of Eminem. And they're not in charge of Dr. Dre. And they're not in charge of Snoop Dogg. And they're not in charge of Kendrick Lamar. And they're not in charge of these people. And so it's different when it's John Gruden. And again, I think there's the personal element of this in which he mercifully, for years attacked Roger Goodell. And he just kept attacking. And I'm sure Roger Goodell took it personally. And in all seriousness, I think he probably should have taken it a little personally. So now it's like, get the guy out of my league. So he does. Just like the Buccaneers probably took it personally when he said that the owner could blank my blank and everybody laughs about it or whatever, you're out of the Ring of Honor.
But, I mean, I don't think I don't think Roger Goodell can take every single thing that someone says about them personally. If, John Gruden wants to say what he wants to say about Roger Goodell, I think Roger Goodell, him holding the position that he's in, can't get offended by that. But it's the other things that he said about other people and the words that he chose to use.
I think it's the whole body of work.
I don't think Roger Goodell can get his feelings hurt over what people say about him.
I don't think that Roger Goodell would be upset about one email that John Gruden said. I think a repeated pattern for years and years and years and years that is taking football in the direction, that is, basically taking a dump on every single thing that I'm trying to do for the game.
It's that part of it.
That's different.
It's the element of he's continuing to act and use language that is the antithesis of what we're trying to accomplish.
I mean, they gave Gruden a chance to get out, to exit, and this be the end of it and move on, and he didn't take it, and they nuked him. And, I mean, they fired the warning shot on Friday. Friday at 5 o'clock. The news dump. They gave Gruden an out. If Gruden had said, look, I am so disappointed in myself. I can't believe I sent that email.
I don't want to be a
distraction. I'm going to step away from the Raiders for a little bit and try to get my priorities straight. I think a lot of people would have been like, I didn't know that he needed to leave his job over that. But now, I read the emails. He got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go.
He's out.
He's got to go. And that's kind of where they are now.
Another texter texts in and says, 1 second, trying to find it. There's very important text in here that I need to tell you about.
Somebody texted me and said, do you think this outcome would be different if Gruden's rhetoric was, targeting other people given the demographic of the league? I would say this. I think at the end of the day for Gruden, and I don't know about the outcome for Gruden, I don't know how Gruden can make all the racist comments that he made or take the shots at social justice that he did and the homophobic things that he said when he's got a lot of black players on his team and one gay player on his team. I don't know how Gruden can...
Which is one more than any other team in the league.
In the history of the NFL, I don't know how Gruden could walk back in that locker room and then be willing to play for him. And once you have a coach, even if you owe him $5 billion, once you have a coach and the players won't play for him, there's nothing you can do about it. He's got to go.
One texter texts in and says, your excuse for an answer about the Super Bowl halftime show and expecting the performers not to be two-faced is pathetic. Society has two standards. Call it how it is. I don't understand how you can hold an NFL head coach to the same standard of Dr. Dre or Eminem.
Yep.
Yes.
We got to get to Hal Gill. We'll do that next. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You've noticed all the inventory shortages and empty shelves everywhere. Now there are serious equipment shortages on those equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are going to be extremely limited in 2022. If you need a replacement, call our friends at Hiller today. Don't wait until you are out of options. Hiller has special financing available. Buy now and pay nothing until next year. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee. Learn more at happyhiller.com. My friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, they are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators. Hal Gill will make his return next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
It's off to the side for Johansson, and he scores, and the Predators are on the board.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The 2021 Major League Soccer season isn't over yet, Nashville. Are you in? There are just 2 regular season home matches remaining as we make our final push for a playoff spot. Don't miss the action on Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. against the Columbus Crew. Or catch the last regular season match of the season on Sunday, November 7th at 2:30 p.m. against New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Come be a part of the most unique sports experience in Nashville. Tickets are on sale now from just $22 at NashvilleSC.com. Everyone in.
Red Hot Chili Peppers are back. Anthony, Chad, Flea, and John live on stage. World Tour 2022 with very special guests, The Strokes and Thundercat. Nissan Stadium, Friday, August 12th, 2022. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Check more at RedHotChiliPeppers.com.
Your home value is way up this year, and with mortgage rates back to all-time lows, it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Refinance now and get cash out of your home's equity. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Loan Pronto can refinance your loan at a super low rate. They can pay the closing costs for you and get you a bunch of cash out. How does $40,000 or $50,000 sound? Don't just sit on that home's new value. Use it. Use it to pay off credit cards. Use it to consolidate other debt. Get rid of PMI. Use IT to make your home even more valuable with that home improvement project you've been dreaming about. Loan Pronto's all-digital platform makes it fast and easy. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Ask about the Loan Pronto zero-cost cash-out refi. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Zero cost option not available on all loans.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Hey, this is Matthias Ekholm. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hockey season is back. That's right, Predators and Kraken Thursday night right here, ESPN 102.5 The Game. We'll be live at Bridgestone Arena. Smashville Live is also making its return. So get excited about that. It returns tomorrow on 102.5 The Game. This week's guest will be Predators General Manager David Poile and head coach John Hines. The show will air on Wednesdays during the hockey season from 6 to 7, featuring Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can watch the show via 102.5 The Game's Twitch, Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, and theGameNashville.com. Be sure to join us for hockey season for Smashville Live. Hal Gill joins us, Predators radio analyst. Harold, it is good to have you back as hockey season is upon us. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about the preseason being over. Camp is done, and then we get to see some hockey on Thursday night with the Kraken in town.
Hal, I'm going to ask you this. What are your expectations for the season this year? Not, win the cup or what, but with the young players that they say they are committed to playing and the guys that are still here and the guys that are not here gone, kind of what do you expect this team's kind of identity to be, and what do you expect the goal for the roster growth to be?
It's going to be interesting where the expectations are, and it's funny. I said to one of the players yesterday, I said, you don't have those expectations that you had in the past. And he said, well, we have them. And I was like, well, yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't really matter what everyone else says about you. It matters what they think about it and what they expect from themselves. So with that being said, everyone has talked about it. John Hines has talked about being hard to play against. And I think they are younger. They are bigger. And I think they're just as fast, if not faster. So if they can play that way and then play with that tenacity, I think we're going to have some fun this year. I think it's going to be a fun brand to watch. As far as expectations, I think they're going to compete in every game. And with a goalie like Juice in net, with the elite defense group that they have, with Ekholm and with Yossi, and some younger guys coming in that are going to be good players in the league, and hopefully sooner rather than later, I think this could be fun. You look up front, and we got some guys that have something to prove, and it goes all the way through the lineup. So I think we could have some fun this year with this team.
Hal, I don't really care about some of the older guys that, I feel like we're giving like 5th and 6th chances to. I'm over that part of it. But I do care about the young guys. I do care about Tomasino, Tolvanen, Fabro, Carrier. I think you're going to see more young guys come out throughout the course of the year. How excited should I be about these draft picks getting into the lineup and the ice time they're going to get?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The middle six is going to be interesting to watch. I think we can count on the Beast line, the fourth line, with Trennan and Jeannot and Sissons. They're going to go out and be wrecking balls and play with that identity that we're looking for. And then Forsberg, I think it should expect a big year, a contract year. He's got to prove himself. And Duchesne and Johansson, as you said, the older guys that, they're running out of chances. They got to go prove themselves. But really, the middle six, I think Granlund is as consistent as could be. He's going to battle Tolvanen maybe on his wing and with Cunnin on the other wing. I think we can expect big things from that line. Now, the tricky part is Glass. Is Cody Glass going to come in and reinvent himself and kind of a fresh start coming over from Vegas? I like the way he plays. He brings a lot to the table, but he's got to show it on the ice. Tomasino, all the hype that he's gotten, and everyone I talk to loves him and loves his game. He's got to translate that to the NHL. I haven't seen him light it up in preseason, but I do know that he's got that in him, that he can score goals and he can be effective, and it's going to be fun to see where these guys come in and how they play and how they perform when it comes down to it, because all the testing is over. Now it's about performing, and they're under the spotlight in game one, and they're going to be in the lineup, and now's the time to show it.
Should I get concerned if the young players, Hal Gill's our guest, should I get concerned if the young players don't go out there off the jump and play well?
I don't think it's fair to say, hey, this is your first NHL game, Tomasino. Like you get to go up, and if you don't get a goal and assist, then like what are you even here for? I don't think that's fair. I think you have to give them a sample size. I think if you're going to make the starting lineup on opening night, I think you have to give them that 5 to 10 game window to get their feet under them and to get used to the big spotlight. It's a different game. You're playing with the big boys then, and so it takes time to get up to speed. I'm not saying they can't go out and put up numbers and be effective. I just think you have to be a little bit patient. So I know you get a little impatient, to say the least, and hey, listen, you already were ready to cut bait with the Titans in 5 games into the season. So I don't expect you to sit around for a long time, but I think the normal fan and the reasonable Nashville, Tennessee fan is willing to wait around for a little bit to see how things go. And so I think we have to be patient with these guys.
You take the phone calls and you see if people are going to be willing to wait around on this. Hal Gill with us. I would just say this, the difference, though, like not to make this about – I have expectations for the Titans trying to compete for a Super Bowl. I don't have those expectations for the Predators this year. I want to see the young guys play, and if the young guys can go out there and prove to me that there's a future to be built around them, then I would get excited about what comes after that. I think that they've needed to take this step back for a couple of years now. I like it. I do expect Tomasino to play well. If he doesn't play well off the jump, I'm going to be a little discouraged. If Tolvanen doesn't look like the good Tolvanen that he was last year, but he looks like the bad Tolvanen, then I'm going to have a problem with it. And I get it that it's not that simple, but that's kind of the way I look at the season, Hal. And I'll say this about Johansson and Duchesne. I do listen to the morning show, and I listen to all the discussions about, well, what if Johansson, and Duchesne start playing really, really well? And I'm just not going to have discussions that I have with Floyd. I'm not going to just keep having the same discussion over and over again. I had those for 2 years with Floyd, and then obviously, he hasn't been here for a year, and we're still wanting to have those. Pass. I've made up my mind on that stuff. I want to see the young guys. I want to get excited about the young guys playing hockey and what that could mean for the future of the team. Because they got things I like, but Hal, I want to see the young guys. Is that crazy?
Yeah, this is what it's all about, and that's why we made that. David Poyle made that jump, and let's go some veteran guys and Arvids and with Ellis. You don't really want to give up those guys, but you need to turn the page at some point, like you said, and we're going to get to see those young guys. And that's the thing is, just because you're made the NHL roster doesn't mean you're an NHL player and should stay there forever. I think there's going to be a battle inside and out. I think Afanasyev is had a good camp, and he's down in Milwaukee and waiting his turn to come back and compete. So I know those guys in the lineup now are looking over their shoulder and saying, hey, I gotta throttle down and produce, and that's the bottom line. But I think there's a lot of young guys in this league that are jumping in and making an impact. So to say that this team can't compete for the playoffs and the Stanley Cup, I think is short-sighted. I think there's a lot of young guys that can step up and do the job, and I'm really hoping that it all comes together, because right now I like their team identity and I like what they're doing as a team. As individuals, they need to rise up, and that's going to be the challenge, and we'll see what they're all about. That's why it's going to be exciting at Bridgestone, because there's a ton of excitement around these young guys, and we want to see what they're all about. And I can tell you, they're dying to show everyone what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Hal Gill, we will see you at the rink. As always, Harold, appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you, Jared. You hang in there, buddy. We're going to have a fun this year. You just have to let yourself have fun.
There you go, Hal Gill, as always, on the program.
Thanks, Hal.
Hal says it's not crazy to talk about the Stanley Cup.
Then let's talk about it.
Should we?
Why not?
Should we?
It's October.
Should we?
F it. It's October. Let's talk about it.
Should we? This team's not going to win the Stanley Cup.
You don't know. Crazier things have happened.
You want to bet on it?
No.
Okay. If you were going to bet on it, where would you bet?
Where would I bet?
Mm-hmm.
The field.
No, where would you bet?
What do you mean where?
Caroline's going to tell us about BetUS.
I want to tell you about BetUS. My official sports book, BetUS. Hockey is back. Football is finally back. We've actually got a college football game tonight that you can put money on. You can do that. You can also bet on hockey tonight. You can do that on BetUS. They've been America's favorite sports book for over 25 years, and that is exactly why I endorse BetUS. 25 years, very long time. They have integrity. They have longevity. And best of all, you know when you bet on BetUS that you are going to get paid. Plus, they have live bets, MMA, golf, horses, esports, all kinds of crazy bets. You name it, BetUS has it. So call them today. They will walk you through setting up an account. It is super easy. I have done it. 1-800-79-BET-US is their number. Just call 1-800-79-BET-US. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. Join now, mention GAME, and you can get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. Nobody in the industry beats BetUS. I bet at BetUS, so should you. So go now to BetUS.com. Join today and put in promo code GAME for a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. That is BetUS.com.
Caroline's next.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Another warm afternoon turning into a comfortable night as temperatures drop back into the mid-60s for early Wednesday morning. Look for patchy morning fog to burn off by the afternoon. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
Hey. Nice tailgate setup.
Thanks. Dos Equis?
Sure.
Really hits the spot.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I hope your team never wins as long as I'm alive.
Same to you.
A dose of respect. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Robbie Stanley.
Coming in off the water. Yeah. Coming in there to tailgate.
Joe Rexroad.
That was fun.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexroad every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Avery Williamson, I believe, was on the practice squad, perhaps. I don't know.
Yes, that is correct.
With the Broncos.
With the Broncos. He will sign with the Titans, head to the active 53-man roster. How long has it been since Avery was on the Titans? Well, like 20, I think it was Malarkey's last year, which was 2017. So, I mean, that tells you what they think of Rashaan Evans and Jayon Brown.
Right.
That they're going to go out and get Avery Williamson.
I mean, he was with the Broncos for a week.
They drafted Monty Rice in the 3rd round.
And I don't even know if they're entertaining that idea with Monty Rice.
And Avery Williamson can't run. I mean, he cannot run. Good guy. Cannot run. He used to do the player show that would come on after us on Mondays after games. And he would do the player show. So we'd sit around, me, him, Floyd, chat for a while. Good dude. But I don't, to me, that's a minor transaction at this point, though I do like Avery Williamson. It's time now for Caroline's.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Caroline's. Here on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline's is brought to you by BetUS, America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. You can sign up at BetUS.com, mention game, and get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. We've got a little college football tonight, a little Sun Belt, Fun Belt action. App State at Louisiana Lafayette. Give me ULL plus 4.5, minus 115. This is a huge game for the way that the Sun Belt will shake out. They're both competing for a conference title. Now, last week, App State absolutely crushed Georgia State 45-16, and they have looked pretty unstoppable. They're averaging about 35 points per game, almost 7 yards of play. While ULL has kind of struggled on offense recently, they're averaging just 24 points per game. They just barely squeaked out a win against South Alabama as a 12-point favorite 2 weeks ago. I do think that ULL keeps this close because they know how important this game is, but App State is just the better team so far this season.
I'll take App State, too.
Oh, I'm taking ULL against the spread.
I will take App State.
All right. Penguins at Lightning. NHL makes its debut tonight. NHL season opener. Give me the Lightning minus 1.5.
On the money line for me.
Well, the money line's minus 180.
So that's bad.
Bad. I'm taking the Lightning against the spread, minus 1.5, plus 105. But if you don't like making a lot of money, then you can do that as well. But the Lightning will hoist their Stanley Cup banner tonight, and I think that they will win big. This is actually the Penguins' first meeting with the Lightning since February 11th, and their first trip to Tampa since February 6th, thanks to COVID. But Vasilevsky was perfect against the Penguins last year, 3-0-0 with a 9.53 save percentage in 3 starts against the Penguins, and I think they continue this trend this season.
Tell us about BetUS.
Caroline's is brought to you by BetUS, America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. You can sign up at BetUS.com, mention game, and get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit.
That's it for us. Pred Season Preview Show is next.